is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Minnesota.
The Twins and the Tigers have split the first two games of this weekend series, and now this afternoon the Twins will look for a win and a series win on a beautiful Sunday afternoon at the ballpark. Twins baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by State Farm. Today we'll see the same pitching matchup we saw a week and a half ago at Comerica Park in Detroit. Kyle Gibson will get the ball for the Twins, who has had some struggles in his first three starts of the season. Michael Fulmer has allowed 3 runs in 6 innings in each of his last 2 starts, and that included his start against the Twins. And good afternoon again from Target Field. I'm Marnie Gellner. Yesterday's game here for the Twins and the Tigers had a little bit of everything. It was a 4-hour grind of a game that had a dramatic development in the 5th inning. And that development in the 5th was related to something that happened earlier in the game. This is Justin Haley, who hit Jacoby Jones in the face unintentionally, but Jones had to leave the game immediately and had a defensive replacement. In the 5th inning, the next time Miguel Sano came up to bat, he was hit. And that started some shoving and some yelling. It was drama. James McCann, the catcher, got in Sano's face. It ended up with Sano and Boyd both being ejected from that game, and tempers were flying. It was a tense moment yesterday afternoon here at Target Field.
Well, it was unfortunate with Justin's pitch, trying to go in, and I don't think anybody likes to see that. Not sure what the diagnosis is or what's going on there, but that's not a pleasant part of our game. And they took it upon themselves to respond, and Miggy just, to me, the emotion of the moment and McCann trying to get in between, he just reacted.
And Molitor said today he does not believe there will be any carryover from that incident into today's game. Sano, for the record, is in the lineup today. James McCann for Detroit is not. And after the game yesterday, the Twins made a couple of roster moves as well. They put yesterday's starter, Adalberto Mejia, sent him to AAA and put Justin Haley on the 10-day disabled list with tendonitis. So the Twins called up switch-hitting power hitter Kenny Vargas and left-hander reliever Bobby Boshiers. The Twins will have Boshiers available today. Vargas is not in the starting lineup. Twins starter Kyle Gibson has had his ups and downs early on this season. Dick and Tori on why the Twins can get the good Gibson today, coming up next.
Ball on Fox Sports North is presented by Toyota. Tested, trusted, Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. By CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. By Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us. And by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram. It's the final game of what became a 9-game homestand. The Twins looking for their first series win of this homestand, and they can get it done today if they can beat the Detroit Tigers. And if they're going to beat the Tigers, they need a good start from right-hander Kyle Gibson here this afternoon. And we welcome you on a beautiful Sunday afternoon to Target Field. Dick Bramer along with Torrey Hunter. The Twins have gotten better starting pitching, but those really good starts have come from Irvin Santana and Hector Santiago. The Twins are hoping to get a good one from Kyle Gibson today.
Well, that's what we're expecting. If we can get Kyle Gibson to kind of ride that fastball up in the zone, keep that changeup and that slider, the curveball. I mean, he leaves a lot of pitches up. If he can keep those pitches down, I think you'll see a lot more chases. And right now, you know, he's got good stuff, man. He just kind of pitches around a lot of guys. He gets behind in the count. If he can get more first pitch strikes, I think he would be better off and set himself up and put himself in a good position to have great starts. When the Twins were in Detroit a couple weeks ago, the Tigers took 2 out of 3. The Twins hope to return the favor in the final game of the homestand. It will be a fun day at the ballpark today.
Pulse of the Minnesota Twins. 4 of those saw playoff baseball. The organization was rebuilding when he arrived in 1997. Him as a cornerstone to it.
Did he get it? Oh, what a catch! What a catch!
He transformed it.
A grand slam for Torrey Hunter!
Toughened it.
Oh my goodness! What gets slapped?
Turned it from a nothing to a something.
And the Minnesota Twins, for the 3rd consecutive year, are the division champions in the Central.
Tough, hard, determined, focused. Torrey Hunter. It's the story of what makes a man.
Tough, hard, determined, focused. That's what you brought to the booth here. I hope you've enjoyed it because you've been great. We really enjoyed working with you this weekend.
I have, man. I've learned a lot. You know, I learned about disseminated I learned a lot, man.
Okay.
I learned how the pronunciation of it.
Okay.
So, but also, just my first day. I'm better yesterday than I was my first day, and today I feel a lot better because of you, though.
Well, no. But you know how to pronounce it, and when you come back in a few weeks, we'll ask you for what it means. What
disperse, spread widely, publicize.
Brad Ausmus and the Tigers heading back home after what's been a tough road trip for them. They had a terrible series in St. Petersburg. They've done okay here, and so far they have won three of the 5 games between the two teams. Here's the Menards batting order for the Tigers, and they are patching some holes as we speak. Ian Kinsler in the leadoff spot. Tyler Collins batting second. Nick Castellanos third with Miguel Cabrera on the disabled list. Victor Martinez fourth. Justin Upton fifth. Alex Avila in the lineup. Jim Adducci, the right fielder, just called up today. John Hicks was called up yesterday, and Andrew Romine at short in there for Jose Iglesias. And big start, I think, for Kyle Gibson, because the Twins have been waiting for Gibson to turn the corner, if you will, and he's had a tough time getting started once again this year.
Yeah, I definitely think that if he just go out and attack guys, I think sometimes he tries to pitch around the guys, and when as a hitter, if I was hitting against Kyle Gibson, I know he's not going to beat me because he's going to throw a lot more off speed than his fastball. So these guys are kind of stand back and dropping him the other way.
Northland Ford defense for the Twins, and a bit of a different look, too, with Buxton out of the lineup today. Danny Santana in left, Eddie Rosario in center, Max Kepler in right, Sano at third, Escobar at short, Polanco not starting today, Dozier at second, Bauer at first, and Jason Castro behind the plate. Chris Jimenez started there yesterday. In the homestand, the Twins have struggled. They won 1 game against the White Sox. They lost all 3 to the Indians, and they've split the 2 games here with the Tigers so far. It was supposed to be a 10-game homestand, but of course the 1 game with Cleveland rained out. We'll see if Gibson can do a better job of throwing first pitch strikes here this afternoon.
There's one.
There's one. He's 1 for 1. Kinsler typically swings at that first pitch, and here he took it for ball 1.
Well, a guy with that kind of movement, if I know Ian Kinsler, he won't swing.
And fouled away over the dugout of the Minnesota Twins. 0-2. Mike Everett, the crew chief, behind the plate. Bill Welke, Bruce Dreckman, Jordan Baker, all hoping for a more peaceful and a quicker ball game than the one we had yesterday.
I've had all those guys, and all those guys have thrown me out.
2 strikes, and outside 1-2.
Cal Gibson has so much movement on his balls that if he can just throw them for strikes and let them do what they're supposed to do, I think he will have better starts. He'll put himself in a good position to win.
He got ahead of Kinsler, and now down and away and in the dirt, 2-2. Breaking ball hit over the mound and into center field. Right off the end of the bat, and Kinsler gets a leadoff single. Tyler Collins in the outfield today. Jacoby Jones was there yesterday, but Justin Haley's fastball got him in the mouth. And Jones, thankfully, is okay. He took 9 stitches, both on the inside of his mouth and the outside of his mouth. Talking with Al Avila, their general manager, just a few moments ago. Jones, thankfully, is fine. They hope that in 4 or 5 days he can resume baseball activities on a rehab assignment and be back when the 10-day disabling period is over with.
Well, I hope he's okay, man. First of all, you don't like to see, your fellow player get hit in the face no matter what. We're all trying to achieve the ultimate goal of winning championships, but we hate to see players go down like that.
1 strike, and now a ball hit to right field, hanging in the air for Kepler, retreating to the edge of the track, making the catch. Kinsler's going to try to advance, and he will reach alertly. The veteran Kinsler, once he saw Kepler retreating to the warning track, he retreated to the first base bag.
Whenever you see an outfielder when he's fielding the ball, and here we go right here. When you see Kepler. Kepler went back, and he's still going back on the ball. You kind of look at his body language. His body language is like he's not set to throw the ball. So Ian Kinsler, being the veteran that he is, he saw a weakness in it and advanced that extra 90 feet, which is scary.
And now Nick Castellanos. Castellanos had a good day at the plate with a double and a home run. Checked his swing on the breaking ball. 1-0. Gibson looking for his first win. His ERA, as you saw, just under 7 on the season. Started against the Tigers 2 starts ago, back on April 12th.
If you look at the defense, the infielders right now,
chop foul.
All right, you look at Kinsler and you look at Kepler. He's kind of drifting on the ball. He didn't get around the ball. He's drifting. So you see a weakness right there. He can't plant his foot to throw. All his power is off his foot. And Kinsler saw that and took the extra base. Had he got around the ball and put himself in position to throw it, then he probably wouldn't have ran right there.
1-1 to Castellanos. Down and away again.
You look at the infield, because Gibson throws a lot of junk, you know, two-seamers and curveballs and sliders and different things like that. It allows righties to pull more because they're out in front. The ball sinks into the righty, different things like that. So you kind of take away his 80%. 80% of the time he's going to hit the ball to the left side of the field. 20% of the chances are going to go to right field. And you can't cover both.
There's a called strike 2-2. Well, the splits are rather striking. Right-handers are hitting .346 this year against Gibson. Take a look at the changeup that clips the corner. Left-handers hitting just .265 against Gibson. Now the .265, that's even up there a little bit from what you'd like. But my goodness, right-handers hitting .346 against a right-handed pitcher.
Well, he's getting hit hard then. Some hard ground balls. He's probably leaving the pitches up, like I said earlier.
There's a strikeout for out number 2.
It's a good curveball. If he keeps his pitches down, he's gonna be okay.
It's a Irvin Santana type breaking ball right there.
Man, he has a great. I faced him when I was with the Tigers, and I faced Gibson when he came up. He was throwing 95, 96, and his best pitch was that curveball, and it was nasty. So he needed to throw that a lot more. He does that to finish guys.
Here's Victor Martinez off to a slow start, hitting 190. With hot hitting Justin Upton on deck. Strike on the outside corner.
There you go. That's 2 of 3.
But again, with the off-speed stuff, he's getting those pitches over. He had a hard time getting anything over in his last start against the Indians here.
He kept that changeup down, and if you look at Victor Martinez, he's looking for something up. If I know him.
Fastball just off the plate.
It's a really good pitch.
It was the fastball, the sinking fastball, that got Gibson drafted, and this one just missed the outside corner, according to Mike Everett.
That moved like 6 inches across, 6 inches down. That's nasty, folks.
1-1. We're as guilty of it as anybody. We show the velocity, and when someone, as you said, used to throw 94, and then we show 92, sometimes that's a cause for concern. But when you've got movement like he's got, 92 is plenty, isn't it?
92 is plenty. He just has to throw it in the strikes. Like Greg Maddux, I always say Greg Maddux was great at throwing pitches outside, back into the zone. It freezes you. Throw in the zone, out of the zone. And I think he can do that. This stuff, that was filthy.
1-2 to Victor Martinez. Nice block by Castro, keeping Kinsler at second base.
Cal Gibson likes to finish all his lefties with the slider in the back foot. You saw that last pitch. He really wanted to finish Victor. Victor's one of those smart hitters, and he knows what he's looking for. But majority of the lefties, they probably swing at that. Even count, usually all speed. 1-1, 2-2.
2-2 to Martinez. And a liner off the glove of Sano and into left field. Kinsler coming around third. Throw coming to the plate.
Nice.
In time. Santana with a perfect one-hop throw to get Kinsler at the plate.
Well, Santana, great athlete, strong arm.
And the Tigers get a couple of hits, but no damage done in the run column.
Nice.
You know, they can run, they can throw, they're fearless for the most part. It's a matter of getting these guys time to work together, because it is something that needs to kind of have a flow and work in sync. But potentially, it's a really nice combination on the defensive side of the ball.
And there you see Danny Santana on the left with a perfect one-hop throw to Castro.
He knows an ex-shortstop, so he has an accurate arm and a strong arm. He's always had that. I hated hitting balls to him 3 years ago.
Large batting order for the Twins, with Brian Dozier hitting in the leadoff spot. He'll be followed by Max Kepler, then Miguel Sano, Joe Mauer, Robbie Grossman, Jason Castro, Eduardo Escobar, Eddie Rosario, and then Danny Santana. Maybe this will be his day. The Twins have been waiting for him to break out offensively, and before his first at bat, he's already come up with a nice defensive play.
Well, you know, Fulmer, he throws a lot of fastballs to righties.
Dozier to left center field, and that's down for a hit.
Double.
And Upton played it tentatively. Dozier going to second with a first pitch double.
It's a great start.
And Upton running to the gap. Tried to cut this ball off, but Dozier got a double.
That's nice. That's a Georgia peach, folks. You get jammed, hit it in the right spot.
That's some Mississippi mud right there.
That's beautiful. But you know what? You got to commend Dozier. He didn't stop. He kept running. Got himself a double out of that.
And now here's Max Kepler.
They're going to throw splitties. He throws a lot of splitties and fastballs to lefties. Likes to jam the guys inside.
Twins had some early chances against Fulmer. As we take a look at Dozier getting the double.
Right
you
away.
say doubles, you get out of the box, right?
Yeah, when you smell a hit, you try to get that extra 90 feet, and that's the kind of mentality that Dozier has. He wants to take that extra 90 feet. We call ourselves the hyenas. let you catch the food, and then we take it from you.
Used to be piranhas, now you're hyenas. Roll to the right side, and Kepler will advance. Dozier with Fulmer covering, and the first baseman Hicks, inexperienced there, with a nice little play, hitting the pitcher for the out. Dozier 90 feet away with one down. There's the Northland Ford defense for the Tigers. Justin Upton in left, Tyler Collins in center, Jim Adducci in right. Castellanos, Romine, Kinsler, Hicks on the infield, and Alex Avila behind the plate. Dozier started the outing against Fulmer in Detroit with a home run in the first inning. And now he's at third after the double. Infield in here with Sano at the plate.
He likes to throw righties, fastball, sliders. Sano, he's going to throw that slider. It's like a slider cutter, what we call a slutter.
I've never heard that term before.
Yeah, it's called a slutter. If it's a slider cutter, it's kind of like 90, 91. He throws it like a fastball, cut fastball, but it's his slider.
Driven foul. We talked about Gibson and the reverse splits that he has. Rather alarming splits, but they're even wider splits, wider reverse splits for Fulmer. Left-handers are hitting just 156 against him.
Yep.
And right-handers are hitting 333.
Yeah. He throws a slider. His slider is hard, plays as a cutter, but it doesn't have any depth. Not a lot of depth. When he takes speed off of him, when he's throwing at 87, 88, it breaks downward.
1-1 to Sano. Foul back, and now 1-2. Twins a game below 500, and they are below 500 because in situations like this they haven't executed well. This run needs to come in. You need to be able to take advantage of the leadoff double. Kepler at least got him to third base, and now it's Sano's job to get him home. Count 1-2.
Sano just needs to keep it easy and get a pitch up and just poke it in the outfield.
Off the end of the bat, a base hit. Dozier will score, and Sano takes a base hit just out of the reach of Hicks.
That's clutch hitting right there. He was able to stay on that fastball away and poke it to the right field. I mean, you can't go that way unless you stand short, you stand back, and it's called a two-strike approach. That's a little cutter, and he was able to stay back, wait, let it get deep, got it up. There you go, cutter. Kept his head down off the end of the bat, but you got to take those as well. You know what? In the paper tomorrow, that's going to say line drive, not bloop.
And a 1-0 Twins lead. Here's Mauer. Back on April the 12th, we had the same pitching matchup, Fulmer against Gibson, and Fulmer really struggled early in the game. He only retired 7 of the first 13 batters he faced. The Twins had a 3-0 lead, but then Fulmer, a little angry with himself, he admitted later, got into a groove and retired the last 10 men he faced. Ended up getting the win when it looked like he might be headed to the showers early.
Well, he's definitely coming off a bad start as well against Tampa, so he's trying to make up for a bad start in Tampa. So he's going to be a little more aggressive. He's 95 to 90. He can hit 98 every once in a while. So lefties, he likes changeup, splitty, fastballs.
Mauer lifts it foul, now 1-2 to Mauer. Here's what the Twins will see from Fulmer. Pretty much what they saw from him back on April 12th. That slider, Paul Molitor called it a cutter. Whatever it is, it's really tough and eats up a lot of left-handed batters.
Yes, he throws a hard fastball. I think he throws a lot of body at you first before he throws that fastball.
There's a lot of body there. He tried to hit the inside corner at 96, but just missed.
You can tell when this delivery at the tip of his point, he throws his shoulder, his head, his hips, and everything before he even gets the ball out of the window. We call the window
2-2.
Release point.
Base hit right field.
Beautiful. Go first and third. First and third.
Grounding a single to right. And the Twins have runners at first and third with only one out.
Why am I screaming first and third? Yep, look, his shoulders, his everything before he throws the ball. Mauer stayed on it. And, you know, we've been working on this in spring training. Everybody goes first or third no matter what. Make sure that right fielder throws a strike to third. That's tough to do. And he advanced the extra 90 feet, putting himself in position for Grossman to get an RBI. Grossman should be thanking him right now.
We've noticed that the Tiger outfield hasn't shifted Mauer to the degree that some other teams did. And it's a good thing they didn't do it there, because as we've seen, right fielders typically have played Mauer in front of the right center scoreboard. If Adducey was over there, Mauer would have had at least a double, and Sano might have scored.
Right.
As it was a hot ground ball just out of the reach of the first baseman, and it is first and third, and now 1-0 to Grossman.
One reason why the right fielder wasn't playing in right center gap is because he throws a lot of split fingers and cutters to lefties, and it allows them to pull the ball. But that was a little slider. He was able to pull it, but didn't get too far.
Grossman swings. The ball goes in the dirt. Mauer will go up to second.
It was a great base running by Joe Mauer right there. He was anticipating the ball in the dirt. Once he missed it, he was able to advance. He threw it in the dirt and got away from him just a little bit, so Mauer had to be anticipating that.
Mauer goes to second on a wild pitch, and a hit to the outfield might make this a 3-0 start for the Twins.
Yeah, we have another guy in scoring position.
Infield back up the middle. They'll concede a run if Grossman hits a ground ball past the mound to a middle infielder. Swing, miss, 1-2.
There's that split finger. Most of the time when guys get in trouble, you have to look at this. You know, guys sitting on the bench right now, you're looking at it, you see the man that's in scoring position where you have a guy in second and third, and you see against the lefty, he's throwing splitties. You got to know he's going to do it to you as well, so you have to be prepared. You know, like you got Castro on deck. He should be looking at that.
1-2 to Grossman. 2-2.
He's going to throw his best pitch when the runner's in scoring position. Most pitchers do.
Grossman's done an admirable job as the Twins' designated hitter, drawing a lot of walks and hitting over 300.
Well, I'd kind of waste the pitch if I was him, but I'm not a pitcher. I'm a hitter.
Just missed the corner. Now 3-2 with Castro on deck.
It's 3-2. We have a base open. And here's a pitch. You just want to throw it in just enough so you can bite, but he didn't take the bait. So you have a base open. He's a lefty. We have another lefty who can hit the ball, but he can strike out as well. And we can put yourself in a double play position. So you really don't have to throw him a fastball right here. I'll make sure I throw a splitty, my best pitch, see if he bites at it. So it doesn't matter if he put him on.
Full count. Took a call, third strike.
And that was a splitty.
89 miles per hour. It dropped over the outside corner, 2 down. Took a good pitch.
Yeah, he threw the splitty. He got the splitty up. I mean, that's something you should be looking for. But I'm pretty sure Grossman, hopefully he knew that he was going to throw that split finger. He threw it early in the count. So he's going to try to finish you with that same pitch at 3-2.
So it'll be left to Castro to put a crooked number up on the board here. 2 men in scoring position. Now 2 away. Castro with a pinch hit home run in the 9th inning yesterday. Strike 1.
Castro is pretty hot early on in the season. He's cooled off just a little bit, but he's still a veteran hitter. He's been around. He's been in big situations like this. I know it's early in the game, but sometimes the games are won or lost in the early rounds of the game.
1 strike. 0-2. There have been times this year in the opening weeks when the Twins had a chance to deliver an early knockout punch, including the start Fulmer made against the Twins in Detroit. Again, he just retired 7 of the first 13 batters, and the Twins did score 3 runs in the first 3 innings. But then they saw Fulmer settle into a groove and ended up picking up the win against Kyle Gibson. 2 strikes to Castro.
You want to put him away, Fulmer. You want to do that and put him away early, but the guy has great stuff. So if he finds a rhythm, he can really hurt you.
In the dirt, blocked by Avila. There just isn't as much anymore, and you didn't play. I mean, you were playing just a few years ago, but the whole idea of having a 2-strike approach at times seems like it's gone in baseball.
It's a lot of strikeouts. Guys are swinging up and they want to hit the long ball, and it's so pretty, and you watch it on TV.
1-2. Castro trying to put the ball in play and see if something good will happen. Castro 43 at bats, 11 strikeouts, but he's also drawn 10 walks.
I definitely think like it's 1-2. You try your best in your mind, say, all right, try to get jammed. That allows you to let the ball get deep, and you get a base hit, hopefully.
And instead, a splitter for a swinging strike 3. 3 hits on a run for the Twins in the first. Facts brought to you by Clean and Crisp Coors Light. And a couple of home runs for the Tigers yesterday. Solo home runs, thankfully, but still the deciding blows in the Tiger win over the Twins. Over half the Tiger runs delivered via the home run. And you can see the Brewers leading the pack, 55% and some change of their runs via the home run. Eric Thames providing a lot of pop for the Brewers early on. I don't know, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, home runs are more prevalent now than ever, but then along with that come the strikeouts. Upton hit a home run yesterday. He takes strike 1.
Now these guys, man, they rely on the home run. They don't have a lot of speed. You got Victor Martinez. Look, you got Alex Avila, batting behind him, and when Miggy's healthy, J.D. Martinez healthy, they don't have a lot of speed, so they rely on the double and the home run.
Check swing. They'll appeal, and no swing, says Bill Welke. 1-1.
And those homers are not, happening. This team can really struggle because they don't have guys that can beat out the infield single. Iglesias is out, so they rely on that long ball or the ball you drive in the gaps.
This one hit to left. Santana chasing it and dropping the ball. Santana got there. Upton will end up at second base. Santana came up with a great play to stifle the Tigers in the first inning. But now in the first at bat of the second, his speed got him to the ball, but he didn't catch it.
Yeah, it's pretty tough for Santana. He's a converted infielder. He's been working pretty hard. I think he just kind of stabbed at the ball. Now he took his eye off the ball. He put you never put the glove in front of your face. He got in there safely.
An error charge to Santana. The tying run at second, nobody out. Now here's Alex Avila. Breaking ball wide of the plate. Those have had a couple of drops in the outfield. Kepler dropped one.
And Kepler, he dropped his. I saw where he had his glove lower than his chest, and you kind of lose sight of the ball. And you know, any kind of gust of wind, the ball has seams, so when the wind hit the seams, it can cut, it can do anything.
Down and away, 2-0.
So these guys got to keep the ball in front of them and make sure they catch it. Actually, there's no excuse. I've done it once, and I said that'll never happen again.
Well, it happened to Byron Buxton late in spring training. He dropped a ball he was trotting in on. It wasn't even a long run. He one-handed it, and the ball came out, and that's pretty much what Byron said. Okay, it happened, but it's not going to happen again. Driven to right. Avila really hitting the ball hard, and he's just hit a 2-run home run. Avila on the year, 18 at bats, 2 doubles, and now 3 home runs and an average over 400. The Tigers take advantage of the error.
He's been hot of late. I saw him earlier this week. He had 2 home runs, 1 oppo, and 1 to the right field. And he's been driving the ball. He has a lot of power. He was my teammate in 2013 and 14, and I've seen him hit some balls way out. Had Cal Gibson missing the spot right there, right in his power, his wheelhouse, and those are the results. Have to hit your spots.
3 hits and 6 at bats for the Tigers and a 2-1 lead, and Gibson misfires to Adduci. This is not Adduci's first major league at bat. He's had a couple cups of coffee, but he was called up to Minneapolis today to play. His plane arrived about an hour before game time. 2-0. And of course, he was activated at the expense of Jacoby Jones, who is on the 10-day disabled list with a fat lip. 2-0. Gibson misfiring now, 3-0.
Young guy coming up from AAA, he's not swinging 3-0, so he can just throw one close to the strike zone, because 3-0 is what? Automatic.
At least that's what I've been told a few times this weekend. And there's strike 1.
It's actually a strike.
Tigers, as we showed you, relying on the home run for most of their runs this year, and a 2-run home run is ground ball. That's past Sano. It's the second ball that's gotten by him. The line drive that ended up getting into left field to end the first inning, and now a hot smash to the backhand side. Let's find Marty Gelner.
Today we have a couple of call-ups in our car scoop from the clubhouse. The Twins brought up Ruddy Broshears from AAA Rochester. He's a left-handed reliever with a fresh arm that Paul Molitor said could be available for as many as 40 pitches today if the situation calls for it. And Kenny Vargas makes a 4-man bench now for the Twins. He's a threat from both sides of the plate. It also means that Miguel Sano won't be playing first base as much anymore when the Twins give Joe Mauer a day off. And the Twins will go with 4 starting pitchers in their rotation for right now. The next time they need a 5th starter isn't until May 6th. And that's because of the 2 off days in the upcoming week. So the Twins will have a 4-man rotation until then, guys.
Thank you, Marty. And it'll be interesting to see who would be that 5th starter. The Twins bolstering the left side of the bullpen with Broshears coming up, but going now with 12 pitchers. See if they can get 2 here. Slow flip to second, but they still get the double play. Escobar's underhanded toss to Dozier seemed like it took forever to get there, but they still get the double play.
Yeah, he kind of hit it off the end of the bat, and it actually slows up and makes it pretty tough to turn that double play as fast as you can. But he actually got it done, and that's what Cal Gibson needs to do: keep that ball down and create double plays if he gets, runners on. And I think he does it better than most people in the league if he keeps it down.
Here's Andrew Romine, hit a big grand slam against Gibson in Detroit on the 12th. First pitch is up, ball 1. It was the swing that turned the game around. Gibson had a lead. Fulmer was on the ropes, and Romine, with the bases loaded, took a curveball and golfed it out to right. And the Tigers and Fulmer ended up winning the game, not Gibson and the Twins. And now a strike 1-1.
Early on in the game, the first inning, he was actually getting ahead of guys, and now he's kind of getting behind.
Swing and a miss, 1-2.
Nice changeup right there.
Missed inside with a fastball, 2-2.
Usually when a guy with 2 strikes, a pitcher, and I'm hitting, he comes in with a fastball that hard, he's just trying to set me up with a changeup away or something away. I was right.
Chopped foul.
Even though you know what's coming, you still suck. Baseball is a tough game.
There's the inside call. Gibson with a couple of strikeouts. The inning started with a dropped fly ball to left, and the Tigers capitalize on the Avila home run. Twins baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the Twin Cities, and by Budweiser, pursuing the American dream since 1876. This Bud's for you. Eduardo Escobar will lead off the Twins second, down a run. Here's a ball slashed to the gap in left center, but Collins is able to pick it off knee high. Well, Escobar hit the ball hard. The Twins have hit some balls hard against Fulmer, but there he stands with a 2-1 lead.
Escobar, my favorite hitter. He hits the ball hard. He knows his bat head. He squares it up a lot. I'd like to see him get more opportunities.
Byron Buxton not in the starting lineup today. Eddie Rosario taking over in center, and that's opened up left field for Danny Santana. It's Rosario hitting with 1 out. Up and away, ball 1. Now, to say that Buxton's not in the starting lineup isn't to suggest that he's had the day off. If anything, at this point, he's worked harder than he would have worked if he were in the starting lineup. 1-0. The Twins didn't take batting practice on the field. They devoted their time on the field to one player in particular, and that was Byron Buxton. And he had a lot of counseling as he was trying to work on some things. 2-0 to Rosario. And taken low, 3-0 with Santana on deck. Rosario on the season has drawn 3 walks, 2 of them in one game. With the big 3-run home run here Friday night.
Well, might get the 3-0 swing.
Anthony's 3-1.
He likes to swing the bat. We're down by 1 run. It's early.
Dribble to Fulmer, who flips 2 down. Here's what happened this morning. The Twins not taking batting practice, instead some tee work for Byron Buxton. And look who's there. James Rowson, Paul Molitor, the manager, and some guy in a suit. Of course, that's Torrey Hunter.
Yeah, I was just trying to really just help him, man. You know, just stick with a plan and have a plan and do what he can to stay on that ball and let the ball get deep. He's been trying to catch the ball out in front.
Here's Santana up high. You know, you mentioned it on Friday and Saturday regarding Buxton, and when we say hitting the ball to right field, and you've been more specific. And I saw it in the tee work, trying to drive the ball to right center, not to right field or down the right field line, but you want to specifically target right center, correct?
Yeah, if you're trying to go to right field line, you actually cut yourself off and you're vulnerable inside. So if you stay to center, to right center, you actually stay on every pitch.
Tapper to second, backhanded niftily by Kinsler, and Fulmer has a very quick 1-2-3 second inning. Time now for our State Farm comparison. Twin starters this year have been much improved, but as we said the other day, it's kind of a top-heavy rotation. Santana and Santiago have been outstanding, and the Twins are waiting for Gibson and whoever Phil Hughes to be more consistent than whoever's going to eventually be the fifth starter.
Yeah, these guys are definitely putting the pressure on 3, 4, and 5, because Santiago and Santana right now are really leading the way. These guys just have to jump on.
Ian Kinsler will lead off the second inning for Detroit. He led off the ball game with a single and was thrown out at the plate by innings end. And early on here this afternoon, a lot of baseball yet to be played, but the pattern continues for Gibson. The Twins get him a lead, and the Twins starting pitcher is giving it right back. It's the 5th lead that the Twins have given Gibson, and none of them have lasted very long after he's been given the lead. 1-1 to Kinsler.
I like that last fastball right there. He throws pretty hard, 93 to 95. I think he should use that more often.
Fouled back 1-2 at 93.
I like it. It seems like he has more control with his straight fastball. That's not a two-seamer. That's a straight fastball. I think right now he has to get some confidence in throwing that instead of just sinking it all the time. And guys know it now to get it up.
Chopped foul.
It's a nice two-seamer. He kept it down. So now you have him. He pulled the ball down the line. So you kind of sped him up and try to slow him down right here. Hopefully with a curveball in the dirt.
1 strikeout in each inning for Gibson. 1-2 to Kinsler. Down the left field line. And a foul ball, and Santana watches it go into the seats, going into a slide on the warning track as he approached the grandstand.
Me as a hitter, actually like changeup, righty changeups. If a right-hander threw me changeups, I can see it, you know, and you know, I would tell pitchers, don't throw that too much to right-handers. We see it really well.
Just off the corner. 2-2.
It's a good pitch. Good setup pitch to come back in with a two-seamer.
Breaking ball now, full count. First time through the batting order, Gibson gave up 4 hits. There was an error and a couple of runs, one of them earned, one of them unearned.
Hopefully Cal Gibson is trying to finish him right here. Two-seamer in.
The unearned run for the Tigers, just the 4th unearned run that the Twins have allowed this year. In this, the 18th game.
Saw that he just pulled another pitch, pulled it foul. You speed him up, try to slow him down. That's what I'm thinking as a hitter right now. He's going to throw me something off speed or away. I just have to get him up.
On the ground, past a diving Joe Mauer, and Kinsler has a pair of hits here against Gibson. And the leadoff man is on again. And that'll bring up Tyler Collins. Now you're going to be on our flight, right? Going back home to Texas after the game today?
Oh, definitely, man. I get a chance to get back on the flight and hang out with the guys and maybe play some cards with Eddie.
Okay, get some of that money back from when you were teammates, right?
No, actually, I've been taking his money since I was younger. And that's why I pay for all the dinners when we go out to dinner. Play some cards all the time on the plane.
Well, we've enjoyed having you up in the booth, and you've got what, 9 more telecasts, I believe, later on in the season.
I have 9 more left, and I'm going to enjoy them, man. I'm learning a lot. I didn't know I can watch baseball like this and just talk about it.
Well, more importantly, I guess, is it's great that you're learning a lot, but our viewers are learning a lot. That's kind of the whole idea. Ground ball hit to Escobar, and he will not get the force at second, and they make a tag on Collins with Kinsler off with the pitch. He was able to beat Escobar to the bag as the Tigers put on a hit and run, and they advance Kinsler to second.
That's one thing I really like, man. I think teams have gotten away from the hit and run as well, because if Kinsler's running, you have all the guys, they come to second base and they come together. Now they leave their positions. So he's running now. The shortstop leaves his position, and if he hits the ball anywhere on the left side of him, and that's a base hit, and the guy goes first to third.
And now Nick Castellanos went down swinging in the first inning. Kinsler where he was in the first inning after his single and advancing to second on a fly ball to right. Tried to score on Martinez's single, but was thrown out by Santana.
And I was out whenever I was in a funk, you know, in a slump, and I would tell, you know, the guy at first base, I would put my heels on my pants and click them. And I would let him know that it's a hit and run. This pitch is a hit and run. So I would click my heels on my pants leg, and that's the signal to say, hey, this is a hit and run. I'm swinging, and you just go. Okay. And we would do that all the time, and I would get a base hit to the right side because the guy is actually, you know, trying to cover for second base, and I get a hit. It can be a 19 chopper. I love hit and runs.
You did that on your own, or at your?
I put them on myself.
Really?
Yeah, I put them on myself, and especially if I was struggling, you know, I didn't feel right that day, or I wasn't feeling good the last couple of days. You know, I want to hit and run because you let it get deep, you see it longer, and all you're trying to do is get jammed and try to hit one of these holes. And you know, these guys are young, but when they get older, there's a little secrets within the game, and that's what I would do, and I get hits from it.
3-0 to Castellanos. Gibson had struggles in the early innings again here today. And a 4-pitch walk will fill first base for Victor Martinez. And let's find Marty Gelder.
We look at the big story today out of yesterday's baseball games. Yankees' Aaron Judge hit a monster home run against the Pirates, estimated at 457 feet, with an exit velocity of 115.6 miles an hour. And the Rangers walked off the Royals for the second time this series. Yesterday, it was Elvis Andrus with an RBI single in the bottom of the ninth. Texas won it 2-1, and now the Rangers have won 9 straight games against Kansas City, dating back to last season. Take a look.
Thank you, Marty. What's the hidden story, though? Royals getting walked off twice in Texas. The scores have been 1-0 and 2-1. Wow. The Rangers are struggling to score runs. They're 8-10, and a couple of heartbreaking losses for the Royals. But wow, the Rangers having a hard time scoring runs.
The Rangers and the Royals.
Yeah.
So definitely some pitching has been pretty good for the Rangers and Royals. Those are pitchers' duels. It's all up to the bullpen, whoever gives it up.
1 strike to Victor Martinez. Gibson looking for a ground ball at somebody. Martinez out in front. It's 0-2.
You know, as hitters, we have hitters meetings, you know, before every series, and we talk about what we try to have an approach on a pitcher. And I can almost bet you these guys with Cal Gibson, they're saying get every pitch up, anything up, swing at it, because he lives by keeping the ball down. So we want him to get out of his element and get the ball up, and we attack that pitch.
0-2. Low 1-2. .53 pitches for Gibson, 31 strikes, 58% his strike percentage. Got ahead of Martinez, but then gave up a base hit to left. Santana throwing on Kinsler at the plate to end the inning.
If he can get him to hit a ground ball right here, this could be a definite double play.
Just inside, 2-2.
Good pitch. Pitch inside. Good pitcher's pitch. Tried to get him to bite, nibbled a little bit. If I was him, he took that pitch. Why not come back with it? Double up. But usually he throws the off speed after an inside pitch.
And now a full count.
They say what's good 2-2 is really good 3-2.
Well, I can promise you, if it's a breaking ball in the dirt, Martinez isn't going to swing at it.
No,
right?
he's not. His plan is to get every ball up, and this is a veteran hitter. He's failed a lot, and you make adjustments, and he's did that in his career, and he's definitely looking for a pitch up.
Full count with 1 down. Tigers up 2-1. On the ground, past Dozier into center field. Kinsler will try to score again, and this time he'll succeed with Martinez falling behind 0-2, patiently filling the count, and then delivering a sharp RBI single.
Well, he left this pitch up, and he was able to do what he wanted to do and just hit it hard. Sometimes we just hit the ball hard as hitters, and we don't know where it's going to go. If you hit the ball hard, you got a chance of getting a hit, and Victor Martinez got that.
Now 3-1, and here's Justin Upton. Still only 1 out in the inning. When you were playing with the Twins the first time, we had a pitcher. I won't give the man's name. I know you'll know who I'm talking about, and if you want to give the name, you can. But I remember you telling me once the guy was a good pitcher, and you said he drove you crazy because from the beginning of the at-bat, he was trying to figure out how he was going to get you out on 3-2. And I don't know, I've watched Gibson struggle for most of the last year and a half, and I wonder, I mean, here Gibson, he got ahead of Martinez 0-2, and then he tried to nibble and get him out, ended up filling the count, never did get him out. Has Kyle Gibson become that type of a pitcher, a nibbler?
Yes, he's definitely a nibbler, and if he feels comfortable doing that, that's fine. But you got to make sure you get ahead early and not go 1-0, 2-0. You put the hitters in a good position, and their confidence goes up. You know, when they're down, they have to calm down. So
now 3-0 to Upton.
So if you 3-0, we're elevated right now. You know, we know you have to throw a strike. You got to get a pitch up, and I can use a little more power. But when you're down 1-2 or 0-2, now you get in a defensive state and you can't swing as hard.
3-0.
Yeah, and the guy you're talking about is probably Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers actually nibbled a lot.
Well, but Kenny Rogers didn't have a 92-mile-per-hour sinking fastball either.
And that's why I said if you're comfortable doing that, you do it. And he did it 21 years.
And now a walk fills the bases, and this is becoming perilously close to one of those ugly innings that Gibson yields so often. If you're looking for the ultimate Twins experience this summer, the all-new Twins baseball and softball camps presented by select Heartland Chevy dealers are perfect for your kids' summer plans. Camps are for kids aged 6 to 14 and feature a current Twins player and coach, VIP day trip to Target Field, full Twins uniform skills competition, and more. To learn more and to register, visit twinsbaseball.com/training. Well, a trip to the mound by Neil Allen, and Gibson can look like he's sailing along and in complete control of things, but it's those big, ugly innings that keep giving him problems.
Yeah, he's got to try to stay away from those innings in the near future and give these guys a chance to hit and catch up. And you put your teammates in a bad position to win.
Avila clobbered a 2-run home run against Gibson right after the Santana error, Danny Santana error, and now bases loaded, 1 down. Strike on the outside corner.
His bases loaded, 1 out. He hit a home run out, down and in, so I can see him staying away from him. But he does have power to the opposite field, but the plan is try to make the adjustment and stay away. Make him hit the ball. He likes to roll over the ball, and he doesn't run well. So,
and he's strikeout prone as well, 1-1.
Yeah, he's very strikeout prone, and Cal Gibson has a great two-seamer, and he just have to throw it middle and let it sink away. I think he can roll over on it. But when Alex Avila is hot, he likes to hit the ball with power, with authority to left center, right center. He stays in the center of the field. He hits it with authority.
Now 2-1.
So that was an accident. He actually missed his spot. He almost yanked that inside.
Bases are full. Castellanos walked. He's at third. Martinez singled. He's at second. Upton walked. He's at first. And now a 2-1 count, a hitter's count to Alex Avila.
You have to stick with the two-seamer and stay away.
A belt high strike, 2-2.
Good pitch. He wanted to jump on that because those guys are looking for pitches up, but he actually threw that pretty hard, and it was by him. He's always throwing a lot of off-speed things that sink. We call them wrinkles, you know, and so it takes away from your velocity. So you can look for a pitch up and take advantage of it. But when he throws that hard fastball, it can make guys jump. We call put on your seatbelt.
2-2 to Avila. And he struck him out for out number 2.
And that's what Cal does well, man. When he's going well, that slider or curveball, slurve we call it, he throws at the lefty's back foot and he finishes him. And here he is trying to stay away from him. You see all his pitches, they're all away. You know, he yanked this pitch right here. He wanted it away. Threw a fastball up, left it over the middle, and finished him with this curveball on the back foot.
Here is a Ducey. Wide of the plate. A Ducey lined a base hit, skipping past Sano.
Usually when you have a pitcher throw a slider or curveball first pitch and they miss, they always come back with it and throw it for a strike.
That's a fair ball, and it'll score 2 runs. A double for a Ducey, who has come up, flown to Minnesota today, and delivered 2 opposite field hits and a big double here, making it a 3-run inning.
Well, the first pitch he threw was a curveball, and he actually jumped at it. Jim jumped at it, and that lets you know that he's out for a fastball, and that's why I thought he would come back with a curveball. But he threw a fastball, left it up, and he was able to hit it. He was looking for that pitch anyway, though.
So 2 runs in the second, 3 so far in the third. Still some work to be done with 2 men in scoring position. And we saw Fulmer in Detroit back on the 12th, and then again here early on in the first inning. Twins got 3 hits from the first 4 batters, but he was able to do the one thing that has eluded Kyle Gibson, and that is damage control. Making your best pitches before an inning mushrooms. And so here we are in the 3rd inning, and we've seen this far too frequently. I'm sure Kyle would agree that it's just happened far too often where things get blown way out of proportion, or innings mushroom, because Kyle's been unable to deliver those big pitches with men on base.
But it's something he's still working on. If I know Kyle, he's gonna look at this film and try to make some adjustments. It's about executing, though.
John Hicks, the batter, swing and a miss, 0-2.
And if he can just get in there and he looks at his video and tell himself, hey, stick with the plan, don't deviate from the plan. While he's on the mound, scream dominate before you throw every pitch. I think he can get it done. I think it's a mental thing right now. I think Hicks likes the fastball. Yesterday he hit that pretty good. He swung through that first pitch slider, and they came back with another off speed. I try to speed him back up with a pitch inside and then throw another off speed.
Buddy Boshears is warmed up and ready to come in. To the right side, and under the glove of Dozier, and 2 more runs are going to score. Twins not playing well in the field at all. And Hicks hitting a hard ground ball to the glove side of Dozier, and it skips into right field, and it's 7-1.
What happened was he didn't get that fastball in. He's supposed to waste the fastball inside right there, and he left it out over the plate with the guy who loves the fastball. And here he wanted in, but he left it out over the plate, and he was able to hit it. He missed his spot, and that was just a setup. He needed to throw it all the way in so he wouldn't swing at it, throw it off speed, and finish it.
Well, Kyle Gibson has gone now in 4 starts, 5 innings, 4 innings, 5 1/3, and here today when the Twins are coming off a short start yesterday by Mejia, and he's only able to give them 2 2/3. Pitchers after Adalberto Mejia gave the Twins a short start, and the last thing they needed was for Gibson to give them another short start here today. But you can see in his career when he's been good, he's been really good. But my goodness, an ERA of 7.5 in his 40 losses. You can see some notable pitchers are on the list, but you know, Kyle's farther enough along in his career where I'm sure the one thing he'd like more than anything else is to give his team consistency, and he's been a model of inconsistency so far. Swing and a miss to Roma. Buddy Boshears had a arm problem late in spring training. That's why he was not with the club coming north right away. Called up to bolster the Twins bullpen. Now there are 3 left-handed relievers. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Boshears, Rogers, and Breslow. The Twins still have essentially an 8-man bullpen because, as we've said, they don't need their 5th starter until, well, for another couple weeks. And so Duffy still in the bullpen along with Kinsler, Presley, Tonkin, and Belai. 1-2.
Can't take Duffy out of that bullpen. He's pitching really well. So do you bring Berrios up May 6th? Put him in a starting rotation?
His last start not as good as the first 2, but still pretty good numbers in 3 starts. Red Wings were rained out already today, and then they have an off day tomorrow, so the earliest that Berrios would pitch would be Tuesday for the Red Wings. Two and two.
Well, getting back to Kyle Gibson, I definitely think you look at the difference in his numbers. He's a roller coaster ride, definitely, but I definitely think that's mental because his stuff is too good. It moves too much for him to get hit. It's about.
Runner goes, and now Boshears walks the first man he's asked to pitch to.
It's about just executing the pitch, man, and getting that pitch in there. If you need to get it inside to set up your next pitch, do it. So it's about just executing. I think it's more mental. But I tell you what, I know him, and he works hard. He's a good guy, and he does what he needs to do, inside the clubhouse in practice, preparation. It's just all about getting on the mound and executing.
Kinsler started this inning with a single to right field. And a belt high strike. Well, Boshear's in the game now here in the third inning, but he is not a long reliever. And so the Twins will get what they can out of Boshear's and have him pitch as deep as he can go. But again, Mejia yesterday gave the Twins a short start. Got a series against the Texas Rangers. Earlier I misspoke. I said they're struggling to score runs. They're not. When they're scoring runs, they're hitting home runs, but they've got a incredibly low team batting average. There's still a lineup that you'd like to have a well-rested bullpen for. 0-2 to Kinsler. High fly left field. Rosario, Santana. It is Rosario with the catch. You're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm. Fox Sports North is presented by Northland Ford. Visit buyfordnow.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. By Grand Casino, the best stories start here. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. An early exit for Kyle Gibson, and the Twins have a big hole to try to crawl out of. Brian Dozier will lead things off in the third. Hit the first pitch from Michael Fulmer for a double, and the Twins had a 1-0 lead. Ended up not taking advantage of the opportunity they had fully, scoring just the one run. The Tigers got a couple in the second, 5 in the third. 1-0 from Fulmer to Dozier, and now a strike called 1-1.
Fulmer, the first time around the lineup, he actually threw a lot of fastballs, trying to establish his fastball. And the second time around, I think he's going to show something different.
Popped up, it'll reach the seats, and it's 1-2.
And that was a slider right there.
Dozier, then Kepler, then Sano in the Twins' third. To left, and Upton with the catch. Dozier's hit the ball well in the series and has some hits, but Upton catches that one. Twins fans, you can join us for Kids in the City Tuesday, May 2nd We're celebrating members of the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Twin Cities and our Fox Sports North All-Stars, including 9-year-old Faith. Your ticket includes a pregame party at Fulton Brewery and a ticket to the Twins versus A's. Tickets are on sale now at boysandgirls.org/kids in the city. One down. Here's Kepler.
Look at the infield on Kepler.
Well, that's what we were talking about yesterday. And Max has at least tried to bunt a couple of times with an infield defense like this. They're taking away his hit through the hole on the right side by putting Kinsler in short right field.
This shows me that they're going to throw soft away and hard in.
Okay.
Because they want him to roll over on that soft split finger that he has and roll over. And the fastball in, they want him to get jammed or turn on the ball and hit into the pressure.
Down and in, and it's 3-0. They have the intelligence to support this lineup, and they say only 16% of the balls at play are ground balls to the left side. Well, not even ground balls, just hit to the third baseman or the shortstop. There's a strike, 3-1. So, in the words of Wee Willie Keeler 100 years ago, he tried to hit them where they ain't. The flip side of that is don't put fielders where no one's going to hit the ball. And there it is. Yep, that was a base hit under a conventional lineup, and the Tigers took the hit away.
And you know the easiest pitch to hit the opposite way is the fastball.
2 down. That'll bring up Sano.
And I think that comes with maturity. You know, once he gets a little more experience, get tired of hitting to that shift, I think he's going to start going the other way. But right now, man, when you see that, there's no way I'm pulling over there. I will do everything in my power to poke that ball to left field.
How many home runs did you hit in your career?
I don't really know, but 353.
All right. Well, so you were a power hitter, right? You could, to me, if you hit over 100 home runs, you're a power hitter. Okay.
It's more of a hybrid.
Oh, hybrid. There you go. Okay. Well, as a hybrid hitter, and if you're staring, would you put a button down to get a base hit?
No, I had back control. I would just hit it over there.
Okay. All right. 2-0 to Sano.
But I will also drag bunt. I tried to do 10 of those a year. You know, that Jerry White, the first base coach, he was the outfield coach and the base running coach and a good bunter, you know, and he just taught me that, man. He said, I make sure I have 10 to 15 a year.
Okay.
Drag bunts. So I could do that as well.
And a 4-pitch walk to Sano. And that'll bring Mauer to the plate.
That was not 3-0 automatic.
No, it wasn't.
Well, if you can't catch it, don't call it.
He's got a 6-run lead, but he didn't really, I don't think, come close to even throwing Sano a strike.
I think he was afraid of him. No, he wasn't. It's 7-1.
Here's Mauer.
But this is how rallies get started. Get comfortable.
Kyle Gibson gave up 8 hits in his outing, and the most damaging were after the second out in the 3rd inning. A 2-run double and a 2-run single. Up and away, ball 1.
When it's 7-1 like this, you know, and Mauer's, you know, not the one I'm talking about because he works the count. But you don't want to waste your at-bats because it's 7-1. You're like, oh, man, we're getting beat. But it's a lot of time left. You have to have great at-bats and be patient.
And now a strike, 1-1.
And wait for your pitch. Don't try to hit home runs to get all those runs back in one swing. You just have to nibble away, and then in the 9th inning, you find yourself having a chance to win.
Outside 2-1. Remember that Fulmer fell behind Kepler too before getting him on a ground ball. 4-pitch walk to Sano. Now it's 2-1 to Mauer. 47 pitches for Fulmer and only 24 strikes, 51%. And he's lost it. Last thing he wants to do is walk Bauer and put another man aboard with a 6-run lead.
And this is what you have to do. You have to make him work, get his pitch count up, get to that bullpen early. And if you say that's their weakness, the bullpen, why not get to it?
3-1. And now 3-2. As Bauer fights off a 96-mile-per-hour fastball.
That was pretty hard. Fulmer is a good pitcher, great pitcher. He pitched well last year, and when you see a guy like Joe Mauer at the plate, you're like, yeah, I respect him. I've seen him do a lot of great things in the game. You tend to throw a little harder,
especially when you're mad at yourself.
Yeah.
3-2. So no, not being held on, will leave early from first. High fly to left. It'll hang up there for Upton. And the inning ends. On to the fourth with the Tigers in front 7-1. Plays of the week and what's been a disappointing week and a disappointing homestand for the Twins. They beat the White Sox once, they beat the Tigers once, but this team started this homestand with a 6-3 mark. Has struggled in this homestand. Tyler Collins will lead off the 4th inning against Buddy Boucher. Down and away, ball 1.
It's just unfortunate that they ran into, White Sox. White Sox, I think they could have beat, but you look at a guy on that squad, he's hitting .500. Avisail Garcia hit a big home run to right field.
And now a foul fly down the left field line. Santana watches it drift a couple rows back. Tigers and Twins series on Fox Sports North is presented by Echo Outdoor Power Equipment. Twins won one game between these two teams in Detroit. We can get to win this series, but they got a long road to hoe, down by 6 runs early. 1-1. Checked his swing, took a breaking ball for a strike.
You saw with Cleveland, those guys went to the, won the ALCS and went to the World Series, almost won in Game 7. Good team.
and went on from here to shut out the White Sox in back-to-back games. They're really pitching well.
They have a really good bullpen, and they, you know, Francisco Lindor and Michael Brantley is back healthy.
Encarnacion's bat will pick up, one would think.
And it's starting to heat up, actually.
Yep. 2-2 to Collins. Foul back.
And then you come and you run into a veteran team like the Tigers. Of course, most of their guys are hurt.
Well, that's the disturbing thing about today's game. I mean, Kyle Gibson got knocked out early, and you know, basically the Tigers are in today's game just started 4 of their core players: Kinsler, Castellanos, Victor Martinez, and Justin Upton.
It says something.
This one lifted to left. Santana coming in, one away.
It says something because, you know, the veteran guys they might be hurt, and they have a lot of veteran guys on that ball club. They can be on the bench, but they pick up things in the game to give to these younger guys. And that's the power of having veterans either on your bench or on the ball club, because they see things. And I always say the secrets within the game. And we pick those things up, and we're able to, you know, implement those things in play.
Castellanos drew a 1-out walk in the 3rd. By innings end, the Tigers had 5 runs. Strike 1 from Boshiers. Castellanos struck out in the 1st, walked and scored in the 3rd.
Look at this shift. Right-hander shift. Left side is fully loaded, pressed. There's no way you do me like that. So that lets me know you're going to throw me that changeup or 2 seamers away. Maybe a fastball in. And there you go. He hits a lot of balls to center, on to left field, taking away his higher percentages.
Makes all the sense in the world, and you see that, you see the shifts, and you see where the offensive numbers are this year. Dribbled left side, charged by Escobar, flipping on the run. Good play, out number 2. That makes you wonder why it took baseball 140 years to do what every team does now in terms of playing your fielders where a particular hitter is most likely to hit the ball.
I have no idea. I mean, now they're playing that shift, and if I see that as a hitter, if I look for what we just showed on the screen here, we saw his percentages of 34 to center and 21 to left field, and I see this shift. As a hitter, I don't want to have a weakness.
Check swing and a strike.
And as a player, I'm competitive. I don't want to be one-way Motorola, we call it. I want to have a 3-way, a call, hold, waiting, and all that. So I try to make sure I'm able to hit the ball. If I have a weakness of hitting sliders, I'm gonna make you throw me 1,000 sliders until I know how to hit it.
Right.
That's what I did. I had problems with the slider early on in my career.
And a called strike, 0-2.
And I had Rod Carew. Rod Carew in spring training would throw me hundreds of sliders. And he said, you see the dot, make sure that the dot is up in the slider. Though if it's a strike, it's a ball. If umpire calls it, let him have it. So he kept throwing those things till I was comfortable seeing it up.
Check swing, I think. Yep, 1-2.
So it's just something that's in me, and I don't want that weakness. And I tried to make it into a positive, a strength.
Again, I think you touched on the key. You had developed bat control.
Yeah, and that takes hard work. Hard work is hard work.
Fouled back. Boshiers leaving one up. It's not like they're adding a fielder. They're taking something away from you as a hitter, but they're giving you something else.
And when you see that, mentally, a lot of guys kind of see it and they go, oh my God, why are they over there? And you panic. It's just like, you know, guys play in when they press and infield's in and they're on the grass. It actually does something to you as a hitter.
In the dirt.
And it makes you want to hit the ball over them. and it creates this bad swing, you still can hit the ball through them. But that's more deceiving. It's like a snake, a cobra. A cobra is, you know, just a snake. But when he comes up, he flares and he pretends to be bigger than what he is. That's the shift for me.
Okay.
Still a snake.
And now 3-2 to Martinez.
Did that make sense?
Yeah, but I hate snakes.
Nobody likes snakes.
That's true.
Because they're sneaky.
Yes.
With no legs.
3-2. It's another reason I don't like snakes. They don't have legs. Tap to second. Dozier has an easy play to make. He makes it. And Boshiers has a 1-2-3 fourth inning. Now brought to you by Toyota. The Twins striking first, giving Kyle Gibson an early 1-0 lead, but it didn't take the Tigers long to get back.
Yeah, he just left some pitches up, and they were able to capitalize on it, get some base hits and a homer, and got some runs across the plate. Jim Adducci just getting that pitch up. He's looking for that fastball, and got Hicks, who loves the fastball. He got one and able to get a hit right there.
Well, Robert Grossman will lead off the fourth inning. Then Juan Castro and Eduardo Escobar, and the Twins need to peck away at what has developed into a 6-run Tiger lead. Grossman pulls it foul off the screen in front of the Twins dugout.
Fulmer has 4 first pitch strikes. That's it. He's been behind, and
well, that's the thing. I don't think he's been very sharp here today, but he's still got a big lead. Grossman swings and misses 1 and 2. He bore down when he had to in the first inning. Dozier started with a double. Kepler moved him to third on a ground ball. Sano and Mauer singled. There's a wild pitch. Twins had a 1-0 lead. Second and third, 1 down, and he got Grossman looking and Castro swinging, and he gets Grossman looking again.
But he really has that stuff to kind of bear down when he needs to. Runners in scoring position, he can pump that fastball from 94 to 98 if he wanted to.
Twins baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by State Farm. Combine home and auto and see how much money you can save. Jason Castro, the batter, went down swinging to end the first inning. Rears back and gets strike 1 with a fastball. Fulmer won the American League Rookie of the Year last year on merit. He didn't even start the year with the Tigers, made 26 starts for them, won 11 ball games, an ERA of just over 3. Opponent batting average of .231.
I watched him last year, and he really had some fire last year. And this year, just still early. This guy has the stuff to be a #1.
Busted bat and a roller to second. Kinsler scoops and fires 2 away. Well, Fulmer coming over from the Mets in the Yoenis Cespedes trade at the trade deadline 2 summers ago, and he's been good.
Explosive fastball right there, off speed. This guy comes after you. He was just a rookie when he did all that.
2 down. Last Twins hit was Mauer's single with 1 out in the first. And now here's Eduardo Escobar. Hit the ball hard his first time up, lining out to Tyler Collins in center.
He's going to hit it hard right now.
1-1. Chopper to second. And Fulmer has another 1-2-3 inning, and he's got, more importantly, a 7-1 lead. Time now for our Pepsi fan of the game. Youngsters enjoying, if not the score, at least a pleasant afternoon at Target Field. Tigers threatening to take this series 2-1. But the ice cream still tastes as good as it did if the Twins were leading 7-1, right?
Yeah, the kids are waiting for something to happen. So might as well eat ice cream right now instead. Still a beautiful Sunday afternoon.
Well, it's a razor-thin silver lining, but Buddy Boshears has taken the ball game into the 5th inning at least. And a quick 1-2-3 fourth. Upton, Avila, and Adduci will hit against him here in the 5th inning. That's to left. Santana makes the catch. It was a very similar ball off the bat of Upton in the 2nd inning that started some of the trouble for the Twins. 1 away quickly. MLB.TV Premium is back better than ever. You can watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Here's Avila, cranked a big 2-run home run to turn this game around back in the 2nd inning.
You know, it's kind of tough when you don't have players in the top 10
line drive to Dozier, 2 away.
You don't have players in the top 10 categories like batting average, homers, runs, hits, doubles, triples. I mean, you just walks. You don't have any guys in the top 10 in the American League or in Major League Baseball. In the past, which is the past, it doesn't matter because it's over with. But we had guys always in the top 10.
A strike to Adduci, who has slashed 2 base hits, 1 to either side of Miguel Sano at third base. Single in the second. That was an inconsequential hit. He was doubled up a few moments later. But he got the first of 2 very big 2-out hits against Gibson in the third. A double to Sano's right that scored 2. And then Hicks followed with a 2-run single on a ball that skipped past the glove of Brian Dozier. 0-2 to Adduci. Half swing, but he wins. And a very quick inning for both Shears. He's given the Twins 2 1/3 innings of hitless relief.
Circle brings us up to section 317 at Target Field, and we have $100 worth of scratch-off tickets for a family. Actually, they're not even all in the photo or in the shot today. 12 family members, right? 12 seats.
12 of us, right.
And you came from all different parts of the state today. Where are you from?
Good. Up by Vining, Minnesota. Vining. It's North Alexandria.
And where else?
And Goodhue, which is south of Red Wing, and then Okabena, which is southwest Minnesota.
All got together in a hotel last night and made the sign, right?
Made the sign. We did last night. Yep.
Well,
Come to the Twins game for Kids Day.
That's right. Brought a load of kids with you, and what a way to celebrate. A gorgeous day today and $100 worth of scratch-off tickets.
Sweet.
And Dick and Tori, they have their stuff together because the sign actually says, "Circle us, Tori, and say hi to Bert." So these people are paying attention.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Did you get him circled there? Here's a drive to left. This ball's hit well off the bat of Rosario, and he's got another one almost to the same spot in the seating area that he hit the home run Friday.
Wow, that pitch was up. He was able to capitalize on it and hit it the opposite way. That little man has some power.
And so Rosario hits his second of the year, second of the series.
Here's that pitch, and he left it out over the plate, and Eddie Rosario really loves that pitch.
Box tracks presented by Ram. And the Twins making a little noise here. And now Danny Santana to the plate. Squaring and taking a strike.
I was saying earlier that the Twins didn't have any guys in the top 10, but when runs score, we have Miguel Sano.
Right.
Sano is up there, and Kepler is doubles.
But the point still is, I mean, you're used to, for a good part of your career with the Twins, Bauer was leading the league in hitting. Borno was tops and runs batted in, and swing and a miss. And Santana's gone on 3 pitches, 1 away.
We have some young guys on the ball club, and they're still trying to find their identity. It's the last pitch of split finger. Goes a lot of splitties to lefties. Righties more fastball cut slider, or slider cutter. We call it slutter.
Here's Brian Dozier, a double and a liner to left. Outside, ball 1. Been a disappointing homestand, and ideally the Twins will show a little pushback here and make the last couple of innings interesting. Foul back, just down to our right. I feel so good up in the booth with you. 9 Gold Gloves. I'm sleeping well at night. The food tastes better. Everything is good because you're up here next to me. And I know if we get one up here, you got it covered.
I got your back. I got your back.
I'm more concerned about my front, but.
Well, look, I actually have to have a glove because I'm really good with a glove, but without my glove.
Well, now, don't ruin it for me. Dozier lifts it foul out of play. We've had, I would say in the, 7 years we've been here now, we average about 1 a year in this booth.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
I need to bring my glove up here.
Yes, you do.
That's one too many.
2 and 2.
Can I count on you to catch the ball?
No. No.
Oh, boy.
Dozier lifts it foul. Actually, I think I borrowed it from you a couple of years at Old Tiger Stadium, but I regularly would borrow one at Tiger Stadium from Kirby. I'll go ahead and give it back to him, of course, because there we sat almost right on top of home plate at Old Tiger Stadium. But now you've had great range. I expect you laterally to cover the whole table here.
What you want me to do? Roll over it?
Yes, that's exactly what I want you to do.
Save you? I might hit a wire and trip. Have me on Instagram and Twitter falling over.
2 and 2 to Dozier. And another foul ball. He's having quite a battle with Fulmer here.
I'm amazed that they're throwing Dozier all these fastballs. Dozier's a great fastball hitter, and teams still throw him fastballs. Say thank you.
Down and away, now 3 and 2.
He threw him a slider, a cutter earlier in his at bat. And I remember Latroy Hawkins telling me a long time ago, most of the time guys like to finish you with the pitch they threw earlier in the count if you get to 3-2.
Tap to short.
And that was a cutter slider.
Romine over to Hicks, and finally Dozier's retired, 2 away. Bring up Kepler. Kepler with a couple of ground balls to the right side. Last time up in this shift that the Tigers are employing again here in the 5th. He had a sharp ground ball past the first baseman Hicks, but right to the second baseman Kinsler, who's in short right field.
I don't know if you noticed, but the Tigers started throwing him splitties away, fastballs away, and they're shifting. So they're making adjustments because he's so hot. The advanced scout was here when Cleveland was here.
Another one hit to the right side, high hop for Hicks. Fulmer covers. The inning starts with another Eddie Rosario home run. The base is empty, making it a 7-2 game. Ball presented by State Farm with Marty Gelder, Dick Bramer, and Torrey Hunter here at Target Field. Supposed to be a 10-game homestand. One game was rained out. This is the final game. The Twins leave after the game for Texas. 3 games there, then an off day, and then 3 games in Kansas City against the Royals. And Michael Tonkin will pitch next for the Twins.
What I was explaining earlier with Max Kepler, when they have this shift and they're throwing up changeups away, and they had the big time shift. No other team has done that. The advanced scout from Cleveland was here. Not Cleveland. When they were playing Cleveland, you have the advanced scout for Detroit. He's here watching that game and saying that this guy's squaring up balls. He's hitting all his balls to the right side. So they send something to the Tigers before they get here, and then they make the adjustment. And that's all about beating the advanced scout. And I will set the advanced scout up sometime. When I heard about the advanced scout, I would turn on balls foul, and the next team that comes in, they'll throw me off speed or pitches away, and I would say, hey, I need to square up to right center, because I pull balls, and I remember pulling the ball. I know the next team that comes in is going to make the adjustment because I've been pulling balls.
Right. So we hear of hitters setting up pitchers when you were setting up the advanced scouts.
Oh, I set up the advanced scout. Once I heard about the advanced scout, it was around 2001 or 2, and a guy by the name of Matt Lawton. I don't know if you guys remember him.
I do remember him very well.
And
the ball hit to center field. Rosario coming in, and he goes down into a slide. The ball rolls away, and Hicks ends up with another hit. He got 2 hits yesterday and 2 more again today.
It's kind of a bloop hit. It's tough. Make the adjustment. He's not your everyday center fielder, but the slide feet first, you actually go away from the ball. And I'm not a big fan of that, because you can get a crazy injury from that, for your knee, and once you mess up your legs, you're done. But when you slide feet first, you're going away from the ball. It doesn't help you any. It looks good on camera, but for me, if I was the outfield coach, I'd be upset with that.
Here's Andrew Romine. I've often wondered about that. I'm glad that you said that. And my image of you, well, how'd you describe it when we had you on the other day? You melted the buttons of your jersey top a few times on the Metrodome artificial turf with head first slides.
Yes, I mean, you don't have any footage of me sliding knee first, legs first. Never.
Right.
There's no footage out there, because I didn't believe in it. I feel like you go away from the ball. When you put your feet first, your body goes back, and now you don't take that extra step to catch the ball. All you got to do is shoestring catch it. I remember in the Metrodome diving for a ball, and I had a goatee, and I dove for a ball, and that was the play against Eddie Guardado was pitching, and the Oakland A's came
right
in
after the All-Star break. You guys won all 4 games.
Right. They had a 20-game or 19-game winning streak. We actually stopped it.
Yep.
And so Eddie threw the pitch and hit it in right center, and I actually caught the ball. I actually dove and caught the ball, and I slid for a mile. I burnt my fingers, my hand, the skin of my hand off. They had to give me technique shots.
Really?
Yes, I had to get all these shots, and then I looked at them. I was smelling something. I'm like, what is that smell? In my mind, I'm like, what's that smell? It was my buttons. They were melted. And then I went to the locker room after the game, and I'm looking. We're celebrating. I looked in the mirror. My goatee was missing.
You scraped it off?
I burned my goatee, the left side of my goatee, so I had the right side of the goatee, but this was burnt off. My skin didn't burn off, but my goatee was gone.
So you had to trim it up, shave off the other side, right?
I had to shave it off, make it even. It doesn't take long for it to grow, maybe 2 days.
3-2 after a leadoff single by Hicks, and Tonkin gives up a foul off the bat of Romine. Well,
here you go right here. I'm actually diving for this ball. This is the play. Actually, my buttons were burned off, and that's why I got my hands up. And here's the play right here where
this is the one you're talking about.
Look at my right hand. It burnt my skin off, and I didn't get my hands up. And you know, this is stuff that people don't really know. You know, you go back to the clubhouse, the game is over, everybody go home, and next thing you know, I'm up here with a plastic glove on. They had to put all this medicine on it, and they put a plastic glove on me, and I had to sleep that way because I couldn't have it touch the bed sheets, and my goatee is missing, so I'm not beautiful anymore.
Indoor baseball, we loved it, didn't we?
That turf burnt a lot of my skin off. Why?
Tonkin having a rough start after Buddy Boshears pitched 2 1/3 innings of effective relief. Hicks with a little pop fly single, and now a walk to the number 9 batter, and that'll bring up Ian Kinsler. Kinsler with 2 singles and a fly ball. Check swing, ball 1.
Tonkin is another guy who has great stuff, man, and you know, this year pitching a little better, but I still think he has a lot left in the tank, and he's been working hard, and you can see some of the things that he's been working on. He's throwing the ball down and away.
You're not old enough to remember a guy that Tonkin's always reminded me of, just in terms of physical stature, frame, stuff. And he was a really effective setup guy for the A's in their glory years. Eric Plunk, big, tall right-hander, threw hard, had a big slider. He was with the Indians too for a while, but I remember most with the Oakland A's, setting up Dennis Eckersley. And just the same type of guy. And Plunk eventually found something that allowed him, you know, to be a really effective setup guy. People were almost as intimidated, fearful of facing Eric Plunk as they were Dennis Eckersley, because he had nasty stuff.
Might be his last name, Plunk. I don't want him to plunk me.
1-2. Swing and a miss, and Tonkin gets a strikeout.
Nice pitch. Actually threw him a couple fastballs. He threw a couple fastballs early, sped him up, and threw him all speed. I don't think he was looking for that. It's a great pitch. Kept it down and away, and can't do much with that.
And now Tyler Collins.
He loves the fastball. Might want to stay away from that with this guy.
Fouled back right over the shoulder of Castellanos.
When the guy fouls the ball straight back, he's on it.
And now another foul straight over the head of Castellanos.
It's actually a good pitch. There's not much you can do with that pitch down and away. I say throw one up and in hard, speed him up, make him want it, and break him off. Something proper.
0-2. Tonkin facing Collins. Just outside.
Collins lost a lot of weight. Actually been working hard in the offseason, lost weight, and looks physically fit. Looks like an athlete, and changed his diet and everything. That prolongs your career.
When did you take nutrition really seriously? Did you right away when you started professional ball, or was it a commitment you made later on? 2-2, and now another strikeout, 2 down.
It was something later on in my career. I'd say I was kind of like 30 years old, and you know, I started reading, and my wife and I were reading, and you know, we wanted to start eating healthier, so we started doing more of natural foods, whatever that's natural.
Right.
You know, we try not to eat all the man-made stuff, and it kind of helped me prolong my career. I started doing a lot more sprints instead of jogging. Jogging actually I feel like made you slower and have you slower reaction time. So I did a lot more sprints when I got older, and I ate right. I drank a lot more water, and it actually kept me healthy. My body was flushed out with chemicals, and and I didn't have hamstring problems anymore, or whatever it may be, and just my body felt like it wasn't toxic. So yeah, the diet is very, and that's what they're doing around Major League Baseball right now. Everybody has a chef, and you got to count your calories, and the Twins are doing a great job of counting these guys' calories, and making sure they put the right things in their body so they can have, because that's a part of injuries as well. If you have a lot of sugar in your body, a lot of salt, different things like that, you can really cramp up and pull something.
And I'm sure you've gone through the academy in Fort Myers there and the cafeteria that they have, and you can get juice and you can get skimmed milk, but there's not a carbonated beverage, there's not a soft drink to be found anywhere in the cafeteria, and it's grilled chicken breast.
That looks so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, do not show that on TV. All right, thank you.
With a waffle cone. You gotta have a treat like that every once in a while, don't you?
Yeah, man, because if you don't eat it, you stress yourself out like me, and stress is actually really bad. So every once in a while you have to have a cheat day, and the cheat day is usually on Sundays.
Okay.
And but no sodas. I haven't had a soda since 2006.
Is that right?
Haven't had a soda since 2006. You won't see me with a soda.
That to the backstop, and both runners will move up. So Tonkin, who gave up a single and a walk to the first two batters and got strikeouts of Kinsler and Collins, got ahead of Castellanos, but a wild pitch will send both runners now to scoring position. Greg Breslow getting loose. We're just in the 6th inning. Twins still have at least 10 outs to get here. If you just joined us, Kyle Gibson couldn't get out of the 3rd inning. Second straight short start for the Twins rotation after Mejia's short start yesterday. And a chopper foul.
Nick Castellanos actually been reaching out for that slider all day today. So he fouled that off. So you got to kind of straighten them back up with the fastball in. But you got to get in. A lot of pitchers are not comfortable pitching in. That's why I never really worried about the inside pitch, because I don't think a lot of guys can pitch in. Pedro and Roger Clemens didn't mind.
That gets away. It's strike 3. Castellanos trying to beat Castro's throw, and the ball goes up the line, fielded by Dozier. So a run scoring on a strikeout, and Castro's throw, had it been, well, it's a tough throw for a catcher to make because the runner's running to the bag and where he's supposed to in foul territory, and Castro just had to fire it in the hopes that somehow it would get to Mauer. Timing wise, I think it would have beaten Castellanos, but Mauer couldn't catch it.
He missed the ball, and Castellanos didn't break right away. So when he gets the ball, he sees that he's not too close to the first base yet, and took a chance, because if he make a great throw right there, he probably gets them.
So 2-run score on the play, and it's 9-2, and I believe it'll all be precipitated with what will be a pass ball. The ball driven to the gap in left center by Martinez. That'll go all the way to the fence. And Castellanos, who reached on a strikeout, will score on Martinez's double. So rule it a passed ball that allowed 2 runs to score. And Tonkin struck out the side, but still is on the mound. And Justin Upton will bat. Well, the Twins haven't pitched well, to be sure. They haven't played well in the field today. Plays that could have been made on the left side of the infield, right side of the infield, and certainly in the outfield, and now behind the plate. And Castro charged with an error to boot after the passed ball on the play that scored 2 runs.
Yeah, that's A strikeout, pass ball, E2. Allows second run to score.
And because of all of that, and it's not much consolation, but these will all be unearned runs here this inning.
Yeah, it's just, you know, the fly ball that Santana missed, and it should have been an out. Now you allow Cal Gibson to has to throw more pitches than, you know, I'm pretty sure he wanted to, and then bad things happen. And right here, the same thing. Pass ball, something, maybe a pitch that he could have caught. And next thing you know, there's a double hit by Victor Martinez, and sometimes you have to have damage control, and it's just not working out right now.
The end result is this will be Tonkin's 30th pitch, and Twins were hoping maybe a quick 6th inning. They could ask him to pitch the 7th, but he might be done after 1 inning, and he still has some work to do here in the 6th.
Could be a 4 strikeout inning.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Wow. Is there such thing as a 5 strikeout inning?
Never been done. I hope I don't see that. Honestly, if you're a pitcher or you're a team that's gotten 5 strikeouts in 1 inning, I mean, something really bad has to have happened, right? Well, something bad's happened. The Tigers have scored 3 more runs.
It's amazing. You've been around baseball 79 years, right?
Yeah, something like that. Oh, walked up.
So isn't it amazing that the more you watch this game, that you see something that in this game that you thought you knew could happen? Like I never knew things could happen in this game. I'm still learning in this game. You can never stop learning baseball. Just like in life. Let's say life is baseball, baseball is life. You can't stop learning in either one. It's something that always happens.
I learned today that if you're going to cheat on your diet, you better do it on a Sunday. It's okay to do it on Sunday. If you want to have a beer, you can have a beer on Sunday.
Looks so good.
Ice cream, if you're going to eat it at all,
get it off the camera.
Eat it on Sunday. But he had to come out without completing the inning. And what happened yesterday is going to happen, but now it's happening back-to-back games. The Twins running through their bullpen, and Craig Breslow will be the next man up for the Twins. Breslow coming in for the 7th time this year.
Breslow, a veteran pitcher, man, and hopefully he can get these guys out of this inning.
Yesterday, the Twins got 8 outs from their starting pitcher. Ended up sending him down to Gibson, only giving the Twins 8 outs worth of work. And this in between the 2 short starts, a time when the Twins have cut back from 13 to 12 pitchers. 1 strike to Avila, the 8th man to bat. The Tigers sent 10 men to the plate in the 3rd.
You know, the hardest thing.
Breaking ball and a strike.
The hardest thing for the defense, you know, when you have a pitcher out there, or you know, it's a rough day for the guys on the mound, and you're sitting out there for a 20-minute inning, man, you get flat, and you kind of can lose interest.
Fastball's up, 1-2.
You want to kind of keep these guys on their toes, keep these guys moving, don't keep them out there long. It's tough. Look at their faces.
Yeah, been a long day. And a strikeout. 4 strikeouts in the inning with 3 more runs for the Tigers. Here as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning, and May 16th is Scrubs Night at Target Field. A limited number of Scrubs Night theme night ticket packages are available that include a game ticket and a Twins scrub top. Go to twinsbaseball.com/scrubs to learn more about the Scrubs Night theme night offer. Miguel Sano will lead off the 6th for the Twins against Michael Fulmer, who's been given a lot of run support again here today. 2 starts against the Twins, and his teammates have given him plenty of cushion. Sano takes a breaking ball and strike 1. Sano with a single in the first, hit it right off the end of the bat down the right field line. And then he drew a walk in the 3rd. Sano's single driving in his 14th run of the year.
It's kind of cool to see Kenny Vargas come up, and
Vargas moving into the on-deck circle. Foul back. It's something we might see more of. Paul Molitor's had a tough time finding someone to be reckoned with to hit behind Sano. We can talk about the walks and, you know, how important it is for Sano to take his walks, but the Twins want him up there swinging the bat if he's got something to hit, and maybe putting Vargas, if he can get going and swinging a hot bat, maybe he'll give the other teams second thoughts about walking Sano. Vargas called up along with Buddy Bouchiers, who's already pitched, and Justin Haley put on the 10-day disabled list with biceps tendonitis. And then Adalberto Mejia sent to AAA to take his turn in the rotation down there.
yeah, I definitely think Kenny Vargas, he can just be there in the lineup, and he swings so hard. He has so much power.
From the time he first came up to the Twins a couple of years ago, comparisons were made to David Ortiz, a teammate of yours, but he's got the same physique as Ortiz. His swing is similar to Ortiz's, and they both have the same running style, it seems to me.
He has the power, definitely.
And a strike.
And he probably looked better than David Ortiz. He has a better beard. But no, I definitely think just having him in a lineup, a guy with so much power, hitting behind Sano.
Swing and a foul, 2-2.
It's a threat. You know, you have a guy like this in your lineup can actually change the whole lineup. But we would love to see him make more contact, because if he makes more contact, he hit more line drives, more doubles, more homers.
Swing and a miss. And Vargas strikes out in his 2017 debut. 2 down. Well, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, because Vargas can play first base, but Joe Mauer will do most of the playing there. And if Vargas is in the lineup, it would be as a designated hitter, but Robbie Grossman's been one of the most productive hitters the Twins have had in the opening weeks of the season.
Well, he makes more contact. If like I said, Vargas, if he can make more contact, he would be in that DH spot. But right now, Grossman, that's the hot hand. You know, he's been hitting the ball, he's been getting on base, making things happen, big hits.
I want to ask you about Byung-Ho Park, because you were in camp working with the hitters for a while in spring training, and Park had a great spring training. What did you see from Park that gives Twins some hope that he might be able to help?
Well, I saw that in spring training this year.
Well, ball hit to short. We'll have to continue that thought later, because Romine makes the play. Fulmer has another 1-2-3 inning. Grand Casino story of the game.
Alex Avila hits a home run in right center, you know, to really start it off, and Victor Martinez hits a ground ball up the middle and scores Kinsler. We have Jim actually hit the ball the other way, Arducci. And you got John Hicks hit the ball yesterday and got hits today, scoring 2 runs.
That's
gotten out of hand.
Yeah, that's enough. We don't need to show anymore, do we? It's 10-2.
That's a lot of runs.
Kenny Vargas in the game at first base. And Frank Breslow on the mound, a pitch to the bottom third of the Detroit lineup, starting with Jim Adduci. Breaking ball, strike 1.
He's shown he loves the fastball. I would throw him nothing but that slider.
Foul back.
That's why he swung at that pitch. It's a fastball. Breslow climbing the ladder, maybe finishing with the slider down, or climb the ladder with a fastball maybe.
Ball 1-1-2. Hicks will follow, and then Romine.
Stick with the slider.
Fastball off the plate. Twins won't see the Tigers again for a little while. Next time the Twins will play Detroit, it'll be after the All-Star break.
Good.
Well, but again, the Twins have been stung by the Tigers, but it hasn't been Miguel Cabrera. And Victor Martinez has a few hits, but the real damaging hits have been from the Andrew Romines of the world. Guys like that.
Coming to Friday night, before Friday night, they had an 11-game winning streak here at Target Field.
And now leadoff walk to Ducey.
And these guys broke it on Friday night by beating the Tigers here at Target Field. I think they're trying to start another one.
Here's Hicks. Hicks called up because Miguel Cabrera was put on the disabled list after straining a groin muscle Friday night. Inside, ball 1. Kind of long afternoon for Castro, as it was for Chris Jimenez yesterday. It's tough for catchers to catch a whole handful of pitchers in the course of one game, and nobody, it seems, for more than 2 innings. Gibson 2 2/3, Boshears 2 1/3. Tonkin pitched less than an inning, but it seemed like about 2 innings worth. 1-1.
These 2 young guys, man, is just getting called up from AAA. They love the fastball. They're all swinging at the fastball. And usually when you walk that leadoff batter.
Chopper to short. See if they can get 2. Escobar flips. Nice play. And Dozier completes the double play. Very nice play by Brian Dozier in the middle of that double play with a Ducey going down into a slide right near second base.
Got jammed and he got rid of it pretty quick. And Dozier had a quick transfer and able to turn the double play.
All right, now you were a very aggressive base runner. Do you like the new rule? Okay.
No. I don't. I mean, I can't stand it because if he slides right there and slides, try to get Dozier to kind of alter his throw.
It's not a double play.
It's not a double play. I think you make the infielders so comfortable that they can just stay in there and throw the ball. It's tough when someone breaks their leg. I think the youngster with the Mets broke his leg, but he stayed in there. And then I think Utley slid a little too late. I don't know what he was thinking. It looked like he wanted to go to third, keep running, but then he slid late. He saw that he couldn't. The guy made the play up the middle.
Did you see the play Manny Machado and Dustin Pedroia the other day?
No, I didn't see it.
I wanted to ask you about it then, but Machado went into second base late and then came through the bag and ended up spiking Pedroia. He had to come out of the game. Wasn't in the lineup yesterday, and I don't believe he was in the lineup today either for the Red Sox. But it didn't look, for those of us who remember how it used to be, it didn't look like that bad of a slide by Machado. He just wanted to get to the bag as quick as he could, and therefore was sliding as late as he could.
Well, let me tell you why. I mean, when you slide, some places have loose dirt, and you slide far. You can't control it. You slide before the bag, but you slide through the bag. You slide over the bag because it has loose dirt. But when you make this rule that guys can't slide like that anymore, then what if we accidentally slide past the bag and this guy, and that's loose dirt. And if you slide past the bag and these guys are comfortable because now we can't do that, you're going to get somebody hurt for sure.
Yeah. And Machado reportedly said he felt bad that Pedroia got hurt, and it's significant because 2 of the better players in the game. Here's a fly ball to Rosario And the inning ends. 3 batters bat against Breslow, so that part's a good thing. The score is not 10-2, but on Sunday afternoons at home, we're very happy to bring you God Bless America.
Fans, please rise and welcome Twins audition winner Laura Asher from Lenexa, Kansas, as she leads us in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Twins in a particularly disappointing ball game here today so far. Tigers leading 10-2. The Twins haven't done anything well here today. Kyle Gibson couldn't complete 3 innings. There were some misplays in the field, some missed opportunities early against Fulmer, and there he is in the 7th inning, still looking strong as ever.
Yeah, he's still strong. Still has that 94, 95 mile an hour fastball. Actually, he's hit 96 a couple times. Still out there.
Here's Castro. And he takes a strike at the knees.
He hadn't had too many first pitch strikes in this game, but he bounces back pretty well. He just has the stuff to do that. Might have had, what, 9 first pitch strikes, 10 first pitch strikes, 23 batters faced.
First time this year that Fulmer's gotten into the 7th inning. Castro, Escobar, Rosario due up. Call 3rd strike. Castro immediately barks at home plate umpire Mike Everett. 1 down. Time now for the Unlimited Baseball break, brought to you by T-Mobile. Mookie Betts continues to do well for the Red Sox. Avisail Garcia, as the White Sox hope to win the final game of that series, and Mike Moustakas with another home run. He's got 6.
Great athletes on that board.
Well, none of them were pitchers, and I've been told for 22 years that pitchers are the best athletes on the team.
No, outfielders are.
Outfielders are?
Yeah, outfielders are the best athletes on the field.
Tap foul, 1-1.
Notice I didn't say infielders.
Did you do anything baseball-wise, like in high school, other than playing the outfield?
I played shortstop as well.
You did?
Yeah, shortstop is a pretty good athlete. You know, I think your center field and your shortstop are very good athletes. But of course, we got Kepler, which I think is a tremendous athlete. I mean, he has 5 tools. If the NFL Combine was a month ago, 2 months ago, if I would have put Kepler out there with the NFL guys as far as footwork and shifting and shuttle and different things like that, Max will get drafted.
Really?
What? This guy's a tremendous athlete.
Well, but you know, if you told him you thought he'd be a good football player, he says, well, I was, but he would mean soccer.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm talking about football. You know
American football.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he should play it, but I'm just letting you know and giving you the description that this guy's a great athlete, man. His footwork, all we did was working footwork in spring training. His footwork was better than everybody's. Of course, his mom and dad were dancers.
Right.
And I think he's genetically inclined. And
I still think that's one of the more fascinating stories in baseball. It just happens to be a Twins player. One of the more fascinating scouting jobs and signings in all the years that I've been around the major leagues and the Twins organization. Basically, the Twins signed an athlete.
Oh, man.
And taught him the game of baseball.
They signed a 16-year-old athlete from Germany, and that's Max Kepler. He's already been in him, but now he's trying to learn the game and use that gift that he has and that talent that he has.
Pop up behind second. Should be an easy play for Roma. 2 down. And that'll bring up Rosario. Rosario cranked a home run to left field. His first or second time up.
It's amazing. It's games like this, 10-2. You know, it's the 7th inning, bottom of the 7th, and you got to stay focused and not try to waste at bats. Try to make something happen by doing less is more.
Pulled on the ground right to Hicks, and Fulmer is sailing along. He has retired 9 men in a row.
With your Mall of America Studio Sports Update. The Twins are wrapping things up at home this weekend, and then they take their act to Texas. Join us Monday night at 6:30 when the Twins begin a series with the Texas Rangers. 6:30 on Fox Sports North.
And it's been almost all Tigers here this afternoon. The Twins had a 1-0 lead after one. But then the Tigers got 2 in the second, knocked out Kyle Gibson in the third. And they're cruising along here as we head to the 8th inning. And we'll take a look at today's box score presented by Echo. And on the Tiger side, Victor Martinez with 3 hits. The biggest hit provided by Aducey and Hicks, who started this weekend playing for the Toledo Mud Hens.
These boys are hungry.
Brandon Kintzler has to come into the ball game to pitch an inning in the 8th. Kintzler, the team's closer. At least they haven't been able to use him in that role as often as they would have liked in this week-and-a-half long homestand. And given back-to-back short starts, the closer has to pitch not even in the 9th inning, but in the 8th inning.
Kind of got to keep him fresh, keep him going. He's used to coming out often, so he hadn't been out in like 2 days. So you actually want to keep him fresh. He's just getting some work in right now, 10-2.
It makes me wonder what we might have in store for us in the 9th inning, though. Here's a fly to center, and Rosario back to make the catch. I don't know that Paul Molitor wants to, at home in particular, put a position player out there to pitch the 9th inning, but Kintzler has the 8th. Join Fox Sports North at the next viewing party Wednesday beginning at 6:30 p.m. at Willie McCoy's in Bloomington. You can watch the Twins take on Texas, enjoy specials, prizes, and more. Visit foxsportsnorth.com/events for details. One down quickly, and now a fly ball to the left field corner, and Santana over. Fans right there have had at least 3 foul balls. There have been 3 balls that have landed almost on that same seat.
I think Tyler Collins actually hit those balls that almost landed in that same seat.
Same guy?
Same guy.
Three pitches, 3 strikes for Kintzler. One and one.
So tough, man, when it's 10-2. I'm just looking at my guys around the field, just kind of like, there you go.
Dozier to Vargas, 2 down. Maybe the 9th inning situation will take care of itself if Kintzler has a quick 8th, but there's still another inning to go here. Twins have 3 games in Texas before there's an off day on Thursday. So I don't know that you'd want your closer to pitch in the 8th inning, shut things down, then go back out there in the 9th. We'll see how Neil Allen and Paul Molitor play it.
I don't know. I don't know if they'll do that. Let him get his work in right now, and because tomorrow he might have to go out there again.
And a strike. Castellanos, the batter. He's inherited the 3rd spot in the Detroit batting order because of the disabling injury to Miguel Cabrera. So far, since putting Cabrera on the disabled list, the Tigers appear to be on their way to going 2-0.
Ooh, a quick pitch right there. I don't know if you just saw that, right? He didn't come set. He just came up and went to the plate. Nick Castellano has that leg kick, and he's timing them, so you kind of mess with the hitter's timing when you do that. That was pretty cool.
Fastball away, and it's fouled to the screen.
Saw some food right there.
Well, a point should be made now that we were talking and showing ice cream and beer and all that, and you at the next inning break, you went up back of the room here, back of the booth, and got a plate of fruit. So I mean, a man of words, but a man of actions too.
That's right. You can't You can't just talk about it. You got to be about it. Yeah, I saw that ice cream and that big. Oh my God! Look at that. That is so. You eat out of a helmet?
Yeah.
It's so good.
It holds more.
It's so good to you, but bad for you. But you know what? I look at that stuff. I got hungry, so I had to go get some fruit. Oh, that was so boring.
2-2. Well, the cheese and the nachos about the same color as the pineapple you ate, so you at least kept it in the same color scheme.
So I can fantasize a little bit. Oh, yeah, cheese.
2-2. You know, the longer you do that, though, the longer you are out of the game but look like you could still play. I mean, then that's always going to be out there. A lot of former players, they retire, they put on 30 pounds, and nobody asks them, hey, why don't you come back and play? You're going to, as long as you keep fit, people are going to want you to come back.
Well, I'm fit. I look like I wear the same size uniform, wear the same size clothes. And, you know, people look at me and was like, why did you retire? They're upset.
Yeah.
Like, why did you retire? I'm like, my mind was gone. Like, it was gone. And so
you became a broadcaster. Now, how am I supposed to feel about that? You've got no mind left. So you became a broadcaster.
Well, yeah, that sounds about right.
Fly to right. Kepler's there. He makes the catch. The 8th inning's over with, and more mindless thoughts from the booth coming up later.
Here at Target Field with a 10-2 lead. And coming up after the game, we'll bring you a recap of this one with Twins Live presented by CenturyLink, where a lot of focus will be on today's starting pitchers. First of all, how Michael Fulmer of the Tigers has really stifled Twins hitters, allowing just 4 hits and 2 runs. And Kyle Gibson, how he struggled through his 2 2/3 innings. Jack Morris will be in to help break down both of those starting pitchers' performances. Plus, we hear from the manager, Paul Molitor. Fans can head to our Fox Sports North Facebook page at the end of every series for the Twins' final pitch, presented by Prism Research. You'll get a recap of today's game, plus a preview of the upcoming opponent, so be sure to check that out on our Facebook page after the game. Dick and Tori?
Well, thank you, Marnie. Yeah, unless the Twins can turn this game around rather dramatically, it will finish a 2-6 road trip, or homestand, I should say, 2-7 homestand. Anibal Sanchez will pitch for the Tigers. First man he'll face, Danny Santana. Sanchez lost out on the bid to make the team as a starting pitcher, under contract for one more expensive year, and so he'll pitch out of the bullpen.
He has some injuries, you know, the last couple of years, and he's trying to get some work in today. 10-2.
Roller to the right side. Kinsler to Hinch, one away. Were you a part of the Tigers when they had, as part of the rotation, Sanchez, who won the ERA title that year, and then current or future Cy Young Award winners, Verlander, Porcello, and Scherzer.
I was on that team. I was on that.
How did you guys not win 135 games?
We couldn't have a slump, man. You know, one guy give up something and we lose that one game. The next day, Scherzer's coming in. You know, then you had Porcello. And actually, Porcello actually won the Cy Young last year.
Yeah. So there were 3 Cy Young Award winners in Verlander, Scherzer eventually, and then Porcello eventually, and then Sanchez, and then Doug Fister.
Fister was actually pretty good for us that year, 13. And, you know, I mean, with a team like that, you got great pitching and pretty good, solid defense.
Were people in Detroit bellyaching about the bullpen back then, too?
Yeah, they were upset with the bullpen. And our bullpen was good, and then they were bad. It was kind of
Valverde was the closer, wasn't he?
Valverde was the closer. They kind of signed him later on in the season. You know, he wasn't with us in the beginning, but he got called up, and our bullpen was still tough then. You know, it was not good at all. But our starters, man, they went 7th, 8th inning. They went deep in games, and sometimes that's what you need.
Cabrera in his prime, Victor Martinez in his prime.
Well, it wasn't that long ago, Dick.
Well, I know, but I just, my goodness.
You trying to say I'm old?
The Twins, you know, they've really struggled the last half dozen years, but, you know, given who the Twins ran out there on the mound and who the Tigers ran out there on the mound, my goodness, if the Twins beat the Tigers at all during that year, I don't know how.
Mr. Ilitch, I can tell you one thing, Mr. I has some fire, man. I went and I talked to him several times, and he really had that fire, and he really wanted to win. And he was getting older. He wanted that championship, and so he paid for it.
Well, the Tigers wearing a patch in honor of Mr. I, Mr. Ilitch, who passed away a couple of months ago.
Look at this shift.
With an 8-run lead.
It's crazy.
Down and away a ball.
You got a shift like that, man. You have to see it. You have to make the adjustment. The third baseman is in the hole on the right side. The shortstop is left up the middle, and the second baseman. There's a lot of room over there. That means he's not hitting balls over there at all.
2-0.
I mean, if you keep doing this right here, he's having a great season, but he's gonna see it decline because the percentages say that you hit majority of your balls on this side. You have to have a great spray chart of hitting the ball everywhere.
Well, now Sanchez is not winning any points in the dugout. He's just walked Dozier, fallen behind Kepler, now 3-0.
Last pitch was pretty close, down and away.
Ron Strax presented by Carrier.
That's where they're going. They're going to go down and away, and they're going to stay there
until
he pokes that thing the other way. Yep, and there it is. Another pitch, and I'm pretty sure they're going to do it again. If anything, they feel like you're leaning, they'll straighten you back up with a fastball in.
3-2.
You know, when it's 10-2, guys won't run. You know, Dozier's over there, and he's thrown pitches all the way, and then he had to throw a strike right there. It's 3-1.
Driven to right field and deep.
Nice.
And gone.
Very nice.
Max Kepler hit it over the shift for a 2-run home run.
He made a mistake right there. He was pitching him away, and then he threw that fastball middle in. And that's what's going to happen when Kepler hit the ball. He's going to hit it hard.
Well,
he made that mistake.
You're talking about his potential as a NFL football player, but I don't know. You see a swing like that, you're glad he picked baseball.
I'm glad he picked baseball. The guy's a tremendous athlete, man. Once he figures this game out, he's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be one of the best players in the game.
Here is Sano. Had a quiet day, an opposite field RBI single, a walk, and a strikeout. One strike.
Keep chipping away. It's 10-4.
Check your swing.
Guy like Kepler, man, and he's patient, didn't waste his at bat. You know you're down 10-2, and he takes a fastball out of the park. That's growth.
This is his only swing of the at bat. He's had watched 5 pitches, right? 3 and 2, and finally put a good swing on a hittable pitch and drove it out on a line. Justin Wilson. In the event Sanchez can't finish either the game or this 8th inning. And now hit solidly into the left field corner, but foul.
And they got Justin Wilson up in the pen. You know, they don't want to take the chance of us coming back, of the Twins coming back.
Well, I believe it was 2 years ago, and you were with the Twins when the Twins had the big comeback in the 9th inning. Brian Dozier hit the big 3-run walk-off. They were down, what, 6 runs going into the 9th?
Yep. 7 runs. And Dozier hit that home run, and you know, before that at bat, Dozier said it's time to make something happen. True story. And I thought that was pretty awesome. So it really earned some respect for Dozier.
Half swing, but he wins. So no strikes out for out number 2.
Change up, Bugs Bunny change up right there.
Whatever that comeback and the home run did for the Twins, you'll take a look at the check swing strikeout.
Yeah, that's a split finger.
Twins later would have a good second half, stay in contention until the season's final week, and then final weekend, and then come up short. Here is Kenny Vargas. That game had a profound impact on the Tigers because they ended up later that month trading Yoenis Cespedes, trading David Price. Dave Dombrowski, their longtime general manager, ended up leaving the organization. It was a decisive blow for Brian Dozier, but it had more of an impact, as it turned out, on the Tigers than it did for the Twins.
It did. Actually, you know, it caused a lot of havoc, and they had to get rid of some guys. And
the bouncer up the line, foul.
And you had Dombrowski, you know, kind of resign and then get picked up by Boston. So
when he ended up with David Price.
Yeah, and got David Price. So, and Porcello now. He got 2 of his guys. And you got Sale.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. It's nasty over there.
1-2 to Vargas, second at bat since he replaced Joe Mauer in the lineup. And now 2-2.
From what I saw, every time we pitched to Vargas and then playing with Vargas in 2015, they just love to throw him changeups down and away, changeup down and away, and he swung over those things. If you get it up, you're gonna make a mistake. That's a mistake, and he's gonna punish you. He has to know that he should swing at every pitch up and leave that pitch down alone.
Takes that pitch up out of the strike zone. 3-2.
That right there, if he has a plan, the plan is to stay up. He swings at that pitch and maybe have pretty good contact.
Hit hard and foul.
He's up. Because anything down, if he hits a ground ball, you know, they're hoping that he hits it to a position player. He's out. He doesn't run that well. So the key is to keep the ball down on him. But if you get it up, you're giving him a chance to hit that ball in the air and possibly out of the park.
Full count to Vargas. Ball 4. Mentioned that the Twins aren't going to see the Tigers until after the All-Star break, and I'll be interested to see whether Sanchez is still with the Tigers. They don't seem to have a role for him. They had 2 veterans they were hoping would round out their starting rotation, Sanchez and Mike Pelfrey. They released Pelfrey, and Sanchez doesn't seem to be well suited to the bullpen. At least he hasn't pitched particularly well out of the bullpen.
Tigers probably have to eat a lot of that salary, but I could see him in the back end of somebody's starting rotation.
One strike to Grossman. And a second strike.
When he's going good, his changeup is good, his curveball is good, and he's hitting his spots. I think he's leaving some balls out over the plate and pitches that, you know, hitters can handle.
And Grossman taps it foul. The follow through in his swing might have hit the catcher. Avila, but he's okay.
Avila gets hit more than any catcher in Major League Baseball on the backswing. I think he's far up, closer to the plate than most catchers, so he can get that pitch for his pitchers. It's pretty smart.
Avila's had so many concussion issues for a while. I know before he left to go to the White Sox and then came back, they would have like a nice helmet that he would wear when he would.
I wore it with him one time.
Did you really?
Yes, we took pictures.
The ball hit to
Nice
left
swing.
center, and Grossman slashes one to the gap. Vargas to third. Grossman will be held to a single.
I'll tell you about Vargas. He can run the bases for a big guy. To go first and third right there is awesome. Now they go with Justin Wilson.
And a very disappointing outing for Sanchez as he comes on in relief. Fulmer gets a couple of strikeouts, but walks two, gives up 2 hits, including a Kepler home run, and the Tigers have to use a reliever in the 8th. They'd hope not to. Grossman with a base hit, his first hit of the ball game. After the game, the Twins go to Texas, where the temperatures will be moderate. Usually we go there in July and it's 100 degrees, and we're expecting pleasant temperatures for the 3 games in Texas, all night games. And then the Twins fly to Kansas City. We'll spend Thursday as an off day, and then take on the Royals for 3 games before coming back home to take on Oakland and Boston. The series with the Rangers will be the first series that the Twins will play outside the American League Central. And at the Welcome Twins luncheon the other day, look at Wilson coming in to try to get the Tigers off the field in the 8th. At the Welcome Home luncheon the other day, I asked Paul Molitor, in front of guests of both chambers of commerce, Minneapolis and St. Paul, whether he thought his team could contend with the ball hit right on the shortstop with the other teams in the Central, and he said absolutely. That said, this has not been a good homestand in that regard. Twins had a couple in the 8th, still down by plenty.
Twins are struggling to get some runs. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the account and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without an express written consent of the Minnesota Twins, LLC.
The attorneys are happy. Everybody's happy. The reading just got a little bit better every time.
We need disperse, widely spread.
Well, we go to the 9th inning, and it'll be Ryan Presley asked to pitch. I hate to call it a mop-up inning, but trying to pitch an inning here and get the Twins through the game. And Victor Martinez, first man to face him. Over Presley's head, scooped up by Sano.
Wow.
Fires to Vargas.
Some weird setups.
Mentioned the Twins go to Texas after the game. And here are the pitching matchups. Martin Perez going for the Rangers, and Phil Hughes will go for the Twins tomorrow night. Irvin Santana on Tuesday against Andrew Kashner. Cole Hamels going Wednesday. Hector Santiago going for the Twins. Twins won't face Yu Darvish in that series.
Good.
He had to face him. Nasty stuff, isn't he?
He has like 10 pitches.
Yeah.
That's cheating.
Here's Justin Upton.
They're going to need Phil Hughes to go at least 7 innings. You know, he kind of wore that bullpen out today.
Well, on the heels of yesterday, too. It wasn't just today, but Mejia went 2 2/3 innings. Gibson went 2 2/3 innings.
So he's capable of doing it, but we need him to go 7 or 8.
You know, those teams that you played on for the Twins that at least contended and 6 times won a division title. The rotation was full of guys that I think, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but you tell me if I'm right or wrong. You took the field and you felt we got a good chance to win tonight because he's on the mound. Whether it was Rick Reed, Brad Radke, Johan Santana, Carlos Silva, guys like that, Eric Milton, right? But I mean, every time you took the field, you won 94 games in 2002. And I'm guessing most of those nights you went out and said, you know what? If we play a good game, we're going to win.
Usually I don't agree with you. But right now, you're definitely right. When you have guys, man, that you know that's going to go out there and give you an opportunity to win, a chance to win every start, you know, with Brad Radke and, you know, Carlos Silva, and when Lariano came up, I mean, these guys giving you a chance to win every day. It's like you lose, you're like, whatever, we'll get them tomorrow.
Right.
And instead, if you don't know who's on the mound, you know who's on the mound, and he's not going to give you a good chance. Wow.
Upton drives one to right field, a 1-out single. That'll bring up Avila. Don't plan, flex plan. You can receive 20 digital tickets and enjoy all the benefits of being a Twins season ticket holder. The flex plan gives you the flexibility to choose only the games you wish to attend, all the way up until the first pitch. Learn more at twinsbaseball.com/flex. I guess trying to bring it to 2017. I mean, the Twins, they couldn't have asked for Irvin Santana or Hector Santiago to pitch any better than they have. But Phil Hughes has had a couple of good starts, a couple of bad ones. Kyle Gibson hasn't given the Twins a good start yet. Mejia sent down because, you know, he didn't pitch well enough or long enough. You know, that's where the Twins need to get to. As to who is going to be in that rotation when they finally get there, whether it's Barrios or whomever. Maybe Tyler Duffy moves out of the bullpen and takes over a spot in the rotation again. I mean, that's the goal, is to get that feeling that you had during those division winning years when, okay, it's Santana starting tonight. Oh, it's Radke. It didn't matter.
Right.
Because you're going to get a competitive start.
I mean, you got Santana and Santiago, you know, they're pitching pretty well right now. And, you know, whenever they come up, I can tell you that that clubhouse and those players, they're actually feeling pretty good that day. You know,
lifted to left, and Avila sends Santana back for the catch, out number 2.
And you have Cal Gibson. You know, Cal Gibson thing is just mental. You know, it has nothing to do with his stuff. It's all mental. And I think he's going to make the adjustment. He's got LaTroy Hawkins, you know, somebody he can talk to. You got Eddie Godado out there. You got guys that have been there, done that, and talk to him and say, hey, what's the mental side of the game? What did I need to do mentally? And then you got Mejia. You know, he's in the big leagues for the first time, and he's facing guys he's seen on the PlayStation, on the Xbox. So he's overwhelmed. You look at this stadium. He's never played in a stadium like this, has he?
No.
No. This is one of the best parks in Major League Baseball, the most beautiful park in Major League Baseball, and he's starting and pitching in this stadium. So he's overwhelmed, thinking that he has to be somebody that he's not. You know, he throws 94, 95, but he wants to throw 100 because he's in the big leagues now. If he can just get to a point where
Tapper over the mound, and that'll dribble into center field.
Where I'm just me. Let me, be who I am. I know me better than anybody. And if he gets that mentality, his stuff is filthy. He can be special.
But some players, some pitchers never get to that point, and I think therein is one of the frustrations for Kyle Gibson. You know, his first couple of years, he steady improvement, and the sky was the limit for Gibson. Well, last year was a really bad year, and he's off to an even worse start this year. So, you know, in his 5th year in the big leagues, I think the expectations are higher than the reality right now.
And that's normal. That's normal. You expect him to, you know, be more of a veteran, to make adjustments and different things like that. But I think he's that guy that can do that. And, you know, he's still young. Give him a little more time, and I definitely think that he's going to make the adjustment. You will see a different Cal Gibson in the second half.
There's a drive to left. And my goodness, how about what Jim Adduci and John Hicks have done, playing Friday night for the Toledo Mud Hens. Adduci with 3 hits and a walk. Hicks has 5 hits, 5 runs batted in this game alone.
Wow. Is he sending a message?
Miguel who?
Fastball with 2 single.
And Paul Mahler having to go to the mound.
Jimenez is going to pitch.
Chris Jimenez is going to finish the game with Ryan Presley getting 2 outs but giving up a 3-run home run. And the backup catcher will try to finish the 9th inning. We're hoping to get through it without burning people up for tomorrow. And Ryan Presley couldn't get through the top of the 9th inning. So Chris Jimenez will make his 4th career pitching appearance.
I know he's pretty nervous right now. All you can do is just try to have some fun out there right now and throw strikes and get these guys out of the inning. Got 2 outs. Don't know what he's featuring. Pretty sure it's a fastball. Or Ephus 65. What the?
Well, we're going to have what has to be a first, I would think, in Major League Baseball, very likely. Chris Jimenez is going to be the finishing pitcher for the Minnesota Twins.
I think it's a knuckleball, maybe.
And Joe Jimenez is going to be the finishing pitcher for the Tigers.
That's a fastball. 83, I think.
Yeah, 82, 83.
Sawdust.
1-2. And a fly ball to center. And that ends it. Chris Jimenez doing what unfortunately had to be done. Chris Jimenez finished the ball game on the mound for the Minnesota Twins, and the Tigers hope that Joe Jimenez will finish for them.
That 12 ERA went down.
Well, great opportunity for Jimenez to get over the butterflies, whatever a young pitcher with a ton of promise experiences when he first gets up here. Eduardo Escobar, the first man he'll face. And up and away, ball one.
97 miles an hour. This kid has a great arm.
That sounded fast. 96 and a swing and a miss.
I guess you got it. In this situation, it's 13-4. He hadn't thrown a strike, not even close. And you swing at that pitch, got to at least make him throw one strike.
Fouled away. 98.
Tell you what, Mighty Mouse is gonna give you a battle. Mighty Mouse with spandex.
1-2 to Eduardo Escobar. Eddie Rosario and Danny Santana will follow. Slider in the dirt, scooped by Avila.
Looked like that was a changeup.
At 90.
I saw the grip in his glove. Looks like a changeup again.
Roller right side.
It was.
Nice play. With Kinsler making it one away in the ninth. That'll bring up Rosario with the big home run against Jimenez here on Friday night. Teammates on the Puerto Rican team in the WBC, and Rosario didn't waste any time at all. Stands to reason Rosario will be in the Twins lineup for a lot of years, and the Tigers hope that Jimenez will be pitching for them in the late innings for a number of years, and Rosario jumped on the first pitch and clobbered it into the seats.
How much you want to bet these guys have like a honest rivalry, honest challenge amongst each other?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's more of friendship, but you're battling each other. He wants to strike him out and he wants to hit him out, and it's for pride.
Round one went to Rosario. Round two will go to Jimenez. 2 down.
And he won.
And Danny Santana at the plate. Twins, you know, everyone's focused on Byron Buxton's struggles at the plate. Twins need to get this guy going too. He made the team for a reason. The potential he showed at the plate a couple of years ago. And Santana's really struggled out of the gate too. Paul Molitor hoping that a start today in left field would maybe get his bat going. Swing and a miss, and instead a ground ball to second to 2 strikeouts.
Man, I remember 2014, this guy, I don't know, I think he hit like, what, 320 something? And he was killing the ball. He hit for power, hit triples, and for high average, stealing bases. He was a 5-2 player.
And now fouled away, and he's behind in the count 0-2.
And Santana's thing is just mental. He has all the ability in the world, and it's just mental. Sometimes you gotta, we see it, but you can't see it. Sometimes we as individuals can't see what we have, but other people can.
And another chip shot foul.
And he just has to look in the mirror and know that he can do it. Trust that his God bless him with a lot of ability, and it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch this guy play if he can get out of the struggles.
And Santana strikes out, and the game ends. The homestand ends. The homestand started with the Twins having